that all the budget presentations today probably will have some relationship to the college experience. What we're bringing today is a request for some additional funds for some of the initiatives, the services, the tools that are at the core of the college experience. We also want to say how much we appreciate that these budget requests, while they are intended to and will make these core tools and services more slick, more user-friendly, more intuitive for our students, at the same time, and more robust, at the same time, it will make things more slick, more user-friendly, and more intuitive for the staff and the faculty who are also at the core of using these services and helping our students to use these services and these tools. So with that, Dr. Vitito.
Well, the flagship program and initiative of the Provost has been the college experience, and we've enjoyed a lot of increased student success and want to keep that momentum going. You're going to hear about 4 different requests here. We want to continue improving the new student orientation. We would like to take some giant steps forward in terms of career services. We've been working on the integrated advising portion of that. Now we want to enhance the career placement and job exposure. The learning plan has been worked on assiduously by our IT staff, but we're requesting a significant enhancement to that and the money to support that. We want to take it to another level, and that's a frequently used phrase, but in this case we just want to make this more intuitive and student friendly. Finally, our student coaching system, the SCS, has been rolled out. It's effective, but it needs the next stage of development as well. So you're going to see those 4 requests in more detail. I think Linda Womer is going to start out with the new student orientation.
Good morning. Title III provided for a consultant to come and talk to us about the new student orientation. And he got us to think about a totally new format. Throw out the old and start with a clean slate. He told us students need to know 2 things, a career path and give them a path to follow. And he said 90% of the students will do the classes exactly the way you tell them to do, and they want that, and how to register. A tour of a campus is nice, but he said 2 things, career, register is what we're looking to do. So with that in mind, we put our recently redeveloped slides aside, and he said all other areas that we were covering, Angel and My SPC and financial aid, he said that's just-in-time information. He said a student will want to know about Angel when he gets to class and finds out his syllabus is an Angel, and at that point we'll give them information about a workshop. So we are looking at enhancing the pre-NSO advising session. The first thing we're going to do when a student walks up to a podium, we ask them, did you do your application? Yes. Are you a flexible placement or did you take the PERT test? Yes. The next question is going to be, have you done Focus 2, the career interest inventory? And most of them are going to say no. So we will take them to a computer. We're going to set them up with the Focus 2. If they cannot stay, we'll give them a card telling them how to do it from home. And we tell them, once you've done Focus 2, make an appointment or come back to see the advisor. If you can do it all today, great. We have people here who will work with you. That advisor will sit down with them and look at the assessment and help them choose a major. The consultant said, try to force them into a major even if they're not sure, telling them they can choose another one later. The advisor is also going to plan the first 2 semesters of the MLP. They were already doing 1 semester because they needed that to come to orientation so they could register. So we've asked them now to map out the first year or 2 semesters of MLP. Student does that with the advisor, has their plan, they come to the orientation, and at that time we'll give them some very general information about how to get them to day 1. We will have a tour of the campus, and then we will sit them at a computer and teach them to self-register using their MLP. We're asking for approximately $5,000 to be divided among the 5 campuses that do the NSO so that we can revise the existing piece and put it online so that it mirrors what we're doing with the face-to-face students. Some of the things we'll purchase are advisor contact cards, so the student can take the advisor's name with them that help them if they have a connection with that person. We will have some costs involved with printing. We need to give them the MLP to bring to orientation with them. And they come without any supplies. We have found they don't come with pens, they don't come with paper to take notes, so we would like to purchase some of those, and we think $5,000 should do it. And that is the report for the redesign. Any questions? Thank you.
Career services can be divided into three overlapping areas. Career exploration and determination, and as you know, we've done a stellar job in that particular component of career services with the integrated academic and career advising program. The second would be career clarification and preparation. We've done some very good work in that area, but we have some more work to do. And the third is transition to what's next, to either a job or to further education. And we have a good bit of work to do in that area. And the Strengthening and Expanding Career Services Initiative, the idea behind it is to provide end-to-end services for students in this particular area, including, as part of that plan, before 30 hours for our advisors to work with students to identify the programs that they are going to major in. Of course, we're doing that much earlier now and want to continue that. And then what transfer institution. That's part of the new legislation. That's the 30-hour legislation many of you are familiar with. But we want to be much more intentional, and that's the first bullet here, much more intentional about our outreach to students further along in their path. At 45 hours, we want to get with the AA and AS students, and at 90 to 105 hours with the BA and BAS students, using existing tools and new tools you'll hear about in a minute, to work with them on interview techniques, on resumes, on job search, and on placement. We want to work with the new eCampus AVP and Executive Director to strengthen the online career tools and to utilize them more effectively. We'll need to be working with deans, with the AS lead instructors, and with faculty to be part of their classes, to be part of the capstones. We recently completed a survey to the deans, asking them what they needed in the career placement area. Time doesn't permit us to go into the findings on that, but obviously clearly working with the deans. And then we want to work more directly with employers and with business organizations like chambers to more effectively be part of the job placement process for our students. So that's number one. Number two is that we want to make career services much more visible. Even with all of our efforts in the career exploration area, we still have some visibility issues with students. We want to make career services impossible to miss on our campuses. And some of the funding in here, and I'll go over as a summary what the funding goes for, is to make our career services operations so visible that students cannot miss them. We intend to do that electronically, and we intend to do that physically in terms of the location on the campuses. We have a plan at Seminole, I know the other campuses can speak to it, where we're going to knock out some walls, we're going to put some glass fronts on, all part of visibility, along with working with MPI to make the process much more visible for students electronically, our website, through social media, and the like. And the third is we expect to obtain some fairly sophisticated new software as a supplement to our our optimal resume program, so that we can work directly with students on understanding labor market trends, preparing for jobs, and finding jobs. I'd like Jason Krupp to come up for just a minute to explain a little bit more about some of the transition in the job placement side of it. Some of you know that we have an internship program. That internship program started working specifically with some BAS programs, some AS programs. It's now expanded to work with AA programs, and we expect to expand it across the curriculum. And so an extensive growth of the internship program is part of this, and then through a use of a tool like Burning Glass, which Jason will explain, we expect to be much more intensive and intrusive in terms of working with students on job placement. Jason?
Thank you. When you look at the initiative to enhance or extend career services to include job placement, we look at our current model, and the internship coordinators are one of the closest things we have to a placement model. They are placing students and assisting in the placement and tracking of all students that are enrolling in credit internships. So the concept here is to expand what they're doing, to broaden their scope to include employment, but there's only 2 coordinators, so additional resources are being requested to enhance what they do and to put it out on the campuses. The tools that we've looked at so far, of those, Burning Glass is very impressive in the artificial intelligence that it provides to our students coming in the door. The Focus 2 that Linda mentioned is a great way to assess what the students are interested in and get them to choose a correct major. And Burning Glass is an excellent complement to that. It not only it grabs what they want to do, but it tells you where are the jobs in our local area. And it allows them to apply for those jobs. It allows them to see the internships that are available in the area, and to, so they've chosen that major. They can see, okay, this is what people are paying in this area, and these are the jobs in those sectors. Burning Glass also has a very sophisticated resume development tool that makes our optimal resume tool looks not so optimal. But it basically takes, for example, the Veterans Department of Defense occupational code, translates that into resume pieces and helps them build it for them. So these tools, in conjunction with the internship model tools that we have developed, should provide for excellent framework for the placement services in our next generation of career services.
And of course, included as part of that then is consolidating the career resources, taking our Council of 10 career advisors and specialists and expanding them to include the outreach specialists and the internship coordinators, so that we overall become more effective in providing end-to-end services. There is a document attached to this particular presentation that breaks down the cost of this $178,000, but I'll tell you it's about $74,000 for positions and OPS to support the expanded services, $65,000 in renovations so that we can make our career centers more visible, and $39,700 for software so that we can provide the sorts of services that Jason mentioned in his presentation. Thank you.
Good morning, friends and colleagues. For the learning plan in fiscal year 2014-15, we are requesting that we continue to enhance the existing tool, which are the first 2 bullets that you see there, and then a more complex and more significant enhancement to the student interface. Talk about enhancements to the existing tools. We're looking at improving the quality controls within that system. We've already started that. One of the controls that we've put in already, if a student plans a course, say for example in spring of 2014, and then for some reason doesn't take that course, then at the end of the spring of 2014, that course is put back into his unassigned bucket. What we're proposing to do is to incorporate additional messaging for those students who don't take courses that are planned, ask them to revisit their plan and to update their plan, and particularly for those students who have courses that have moved back into the unassigned bucket. The other refinement to the existing tool has to do with the class roster. 2 years ago, we implemented a class roster on each of the classes that shows the MLP status for every student in a certain class. That request was made by the frontline staff for efficiency purposes, and so that was done. One of the statuses that we have up there is an unsatisfactory status. We have a satisfactory status as well. We also have statuses that shows how many terms are in the plan, whether the plan has 0 terms, etc. The unsatisfactory status has been a source of confusion, particularly for adjunct faculty, in that a plan could be totally correct, but we'd get an unsatisfaction. A great example of why that might happen, that's a nuance. If a student is repeating SLS 1101, for example, and their GPA is less than 2, even if they have a perfect plan, when it goes through the process at night, it will come back unsatisfactory. I've talked to Dr. Smiley, and he thinks this is an outstanding refinement to make to the class roster. So that's to the existing tool that we have now. Now, for the new student interface, that is a very significant project, complex project. And what I'd like to say about that is that the budget request that we have is based on the assumption that we will pursue and proceed with the SMART planner. That piece of software, many of you have heard about already, was initially developed by the University of Arizona. It is currently being implemented at Boise State University, and is targeted to be implemented in 3 other colleges in California. The commonality between those colleges is that they are all PeopleSoft system colleges. They run on the same PeopleSoft systems that we do. So this is a bolt-on to the PeopleSoft, but it is a significantly different student interface, one that's much more intuitive. It has features, for example, like drag and drop courses from one term into the other. We can't do that with our system today. It has the ability to pre-populate courses based upon a degree program, which is one of the recent discussions we've been having here after consultant visits over the last few weeks. It has other significant features that we think would be extremely good for our college here. So the budget request is based upon that particular implementation. We know a lot about that software now. There are still questions that we have. We're in the process of working with the University of Arizona, Boise State, and with Burgundy Group. The budget request that we have is a total of $267, but that's net of $125,000 that we have available to us in the Title III grant. That consists of about $101,000 for technical consultant, both for our internal team and for Burgundy Group. It consists of technical consultant for the academic and career work that has to be done to implement this system, and that is the most complicated part of that. So the assumption is that we will start to implement this system in March of 2015 with a small group of students, first-time in college students, based upon degree programs that are already sequenced, such as AS degree programs and some of our BS degree programs. The other assumption is that eventually all of our 125-plus academic programs will need to be researched, redocumented, and sequenced in the order that students will need to take them. And that will take an estimated 3 to 5 years to do that. One last point about this budget request and for the new student interface is that I believe it does have the architecture and the setup to accommodate the concept of meta major, but based upon what we're seeing now, that is not being implemented by either the University of Arizona or Boise State University. I'll be happy to answer any questions about the budget request for the learning plan. Thank you.
Good morning. Wow, can you believe we've been doing early alerts for almost 2 years? We took a software program that was very new, and we modeled it to our needs. And my requests are based on that. We have a vision for the early alert and the coaching system, and it's really a 2-part vision. I believe, and I think we all believe, that it is fundamental, it is the framework for the college experience, the student coaching system. And our vision is really simple, is that everything that we do should be located in one place for anyone at the college to have access to it so that they can help a student in any moment. And that's where we're headed with this. And that's what my requests are based on. We have listened very closely to the end users, and some of what we ask for here is based on that. We know that they do the job every day, and they can give us the best guidance on how we need to upgrade our system. As we speak right now, we are in the middle of the next upgrade. It was just loaded onto our system last night, and so we will be testing it over the next couple of days. But along with that, some of my requests are, as I did last year, we have continued support from the vendor, which is Unicon, and you can see that's a $15,000 expenditure that we request for that. During this year, we know that we will begin to move to D2L, and so we've been using the single sign-on with Angel, and so we know that we will need to do some programming for that to happen, to be able to migrate us from Angel that we use in the coaching system to D2L into the coaching system. So we will need to do some enhancement there. We also have a vision that we would like to connect My Learning Plan into the student coaching system. So that's another enhancement that we would like to look at over the course of this year. And so you can see there, we're approximately asking for $12,000 for those enhancements over the course of the year. The last thing that I have on the list here is an expenditure for $8,565, and actually 12 cents, because I calculated it to the penny. The more users that we have on the system, the more upgrades that we do, we need to give the end users help. We need to give them a help desk so that they have a point person to call. Right now, I'm the help desk along with Patrick Booth. So we try to field those phone calls when someone has a potential issue with the student coaching system, and we go back and research it for them and fix it. But we would like to ask for an OPS person part-time to serve as our help desk to field those issues, so we can perhaps intervene in a much faster time frame than we are right now. So those are my requests, and thank you for your time.
So on the screen, you have our total ask for the college experience expansion for the 2014-2015 year. This request is to do upgrades to the different elements of the college experience, to expand the services that we're providing to students, to provide upgrades to the different software packages that are part of the college experience, and to provide a better user interface for our students. So we're requesting $361,082 for these expansions. And our request would be to have all of it in the one package, but we certainly are not opposed to pieces of it being funded as well. Thank you for your time this morning. If there are any questions, we are prepared to field those at this time for any of the different pieces of the college experience that you've heard about this morning. All right, thank you very much.
Thank you. I'm going to continue on this morning with 4 requests from the Tarpon Springs campus. We have a total of 5. Rod Davis will be covering one request after Dr. Oliver. This first request is a request to enhance our teaching and learning experience for biology, environmental sciences, and other natural science courses by enhancing and expanding an existing hiking trail that exists on the Tarpon Springs campus, and a new wetlands that was recently enhanced on the Tarpon Springs campus. Currently, our science classes are using the hiking trail, have been doing so for 5 years. Part of the trail is not ADA compliant. We wish to make that ADA compliant. And in addition to that, the wetlands has always existed on the Tarpon Springs campus, but a few years ago we had a construction project that added a retention pond. And that retention pond added a rich new area, 2 additional wetlands ecosystems that will be very beneficial to our biology and environmental science programs on the campus. We also spent in this current year discretionary budget about $20,000 to have the initial engineering and design and survey work done, and we expect that to be completed. And then what we're asking for in this request is $55,700 to further enhance by completing phase 1 and phase 2 of the combined wetlands and the sandy area hiking trail that we have. We think that this will significantly increase our ability to expand student enrollment in our environmental science areas, both on the campus as well as on other campuses. One of the strategies we have is to reach out to the area high schools, in particular Tarpon Springs High School have an environmental science class there, or club there, program there, and we're looking at inviting them over for summer programs and growing our enrollment, as well as enrollment in the core courses on the Seminole campus. So that's the first request. There are a couple of attachments that I will draw your attention to. The engineering design work is attached there, and there's a aerial view of the habitat trail that we're talking about. You'll see two sections, the wetland sections and the sandy area sections. The second request that we have is for replacing the seating in the Lyceum Auditorium on the campus. Currently, there are 180 seats that are obsolete. They're wearing, they're deteriorated. There are some pictures, there's some pictures that you see there showing some of the damage to the seats. These seats are no longer in production. We cannot buy parts for them. They cannot be replaced except fully replaced with new seats. I've been working with Charm Callahan and Jim Wechter's team, and they have come up with an estimate to completely replace the seating in the Lyceum Auditorium with seatings similar to the seating that's at the HEC Auditorium, where you have stationary tables and loose chairs. We think this is very significant. This is a highly used classroom. This is where Professor Philos teaches her class. There are 4 full-time faculty members that teach his class in the Lyceum 156. I did attach there the room utilization chart for that room, and you're looking at the pictures of the seats that's in that room. The next request is for increasing the work hours for the Lipa-Ratner Museum of Art staff accountant from 30 hours per week to 40. This would be budget neutral to the college, as the offsetting expenses to the college would be offset by revenues from the Lipa-Ratner Museum. This request is driven by recent changes in IRS and state reporting requirements, detailed increased reporting requirement from the Lipa-Ratner Board, as well as a new partnership that we have established recently with the foundation in terms of fundraising and in terms of memberships. And perhaps most important, there's been a long-standing issue with this position where the worker has had to work overtime. I inherited a list of overtime for this position of almost 150 hours. We worked through that, and at the same time the job was growing. So I think it's time that we can address that long-standing issue in terms of this job position. Budget neutral. Similarly, the next request we have is a budget neutral request to the college. The corresponding expense on the college side will be offset by increase in revenue from the museum. And this is to raise the collection manager's position from 30 hours to 40 hours a week. As you know, our collections have been growing. We recently acquired the parts of the Gulf Coast museum collection. We have a large educational collection, and then we have our permanent collection of Ratner and Alan Leeper. More importantly, this request will help us to realize a strategic vision for the Lipa-Ratner Museum of Art and its collections, and that is to stunningly increase the virtual footprint of the museum for research purposes, for outreach to students purposes, as well as for marketing and for fundraising opportunities. And that will be done through a module that we can add to the museum system called eMuseum, which will allow us to put all of our artwork online, as well as all of the background and history of the artwork, which can be accessed and researched from anywhere in the world. That ends the 4 requests that I have for the Tarpon Springs campus. Are there any questions? Thank you very much.
Good morning, everyone. It was my pleasure to stand with my colleagues to discuss the college experience. And now I'm pleased to represent the Seminole campus family to support items of strategic importance to student success on campus and our college-wide goal of increasing enrollment by 3%. Seminole has been growing very fast. The enrollment of on-campus students this fall was up 5%. This spring was up 14% over the previous year. Some of you will recall that 3 years ago, I got up in front of this group with a pair of old shoes, and I talked about the fact that we were 13 years old, we were a teenager, and I said, Semi needs new shoes. Now we're Sweet 16, and sometimes I feel like I need a whole new suit. As you'll see, we are going to today talk about strategic investments that will lead us to further improve our student success metrics and to continue increasing the numbers enrolled and those retained. And you'll hear the same thing from our partners, Dean Chapin, Dean Steele, Joe Leopold, Dr. Leopold, and others. Have 7 proposals today. The first 6 are focused on serving students and future students better, and the 7th is to better utilize our facilities and raise our profile in the community, and a little bit of revenue as well. So we'll start with the first proposal to provide academic advising and our student support services. We have in one of our portables designated as a student services, student support center. It houses the MAX program, Women on the Way at Seminole, the Summer of Success program, student support services itself, and the like. As the attachments reveal, that student support center is a very busy place. And to provide adequate services for our growing student body, we've requested 2 positions in this item. An academic advisor, who would be primarily an academic advisor during peak periods to support the growing number of individuals coming to us for integrated career and academic advising services, but also would work specifically with the MAX program and outreach for male, African American male and Hispanic students. So there's a presence in the office at all times. We've asked for a advisor position, and we've also asked for a staff assistant position. There is no staff assistant in that place. We were reduced in our funding for student assistance last year, and with the growing number of programs, you'll hear about science later, we simply need some support to keep that office open for students. We tried a 20-hour OPS person for the African American male and Hispanic male outreach, and it simply did not work. So the request in this particular area is for $64,500 for a staff assistant and for a student services advisor. Next item is to provide clerical support for disability resources. There's an enclosed information sheet that shows the number of students enrolled in the Seminole campus in the disability resources continues to grow dramatically. And without the necessary clerical support in that office, we are struggling to be able to provide adequate services. As this group may know, many of you know, we're working on a new automated accommodation tracking system that will call for additional clerical support as well. So we request a staff assistant position to assist with our numbers for scheduling, tracking, and other clerical duties. Amy Stubbs, who does an extraordinary job on our campus, has also been more involved of late with college-wide activities in the disability resources area. So again, another reason for that support. The next request is for our peer advising program, to create an ongoing program for peer advising. This year, the Student Government Association supported a peer advising program on the Seminole campus. It's been highly successful. We've had over 200 students participate with our peer advisors. The students like it. It's relieved some of the pressure at the front desk if we can refer an individual to a peer advisor to do something that is in their realm of activities, like working on a learning plan. And we hope to extend this program in the future. Tomorrow at the Spring Training Day on campus, there's going to be a training session on this. I think it's been an unqualified success. However, we typically ask SGA for seed money. We don't expect that they're going to continue to support ongoing campus needs. We've done this very successfully with other programs on campus. We don't know if they'll fund this again next year. They may well, but we would like to hope that this will be an institutional initiative that would support institutional funding, or at least let us, with institutional funding, continue the pilot for another year. As I mentioned, our campus student assistant budget was reduced, and so this is a way to get to be sure we have support for that program. And so we've asked for $20,000 to fund 4 peer advisors for the 2014-15 year. The next request is to develop a future student help desk, and then we're kind of branding that as concierge recruiting at Seminole. Our enrollment has been growing, but this is no time to let up on some strategies that have worked well for us. We have developed a program called 10 SE14 to raise enrollment by 10% on Seminole campus for the fall of 2014. We've been picking up and running with ideas from leads from faculty and staff. We're phoning prospects and calling applicants, and this is something we want to streamline, enhance, and extend in the future with the positions that we're asking for in this particular item. So we want to pick up and run with more ideas from faculty and staff. We want phone calls to prospects and applicants. We want outreach to schools and businesses. We want to develop relationships in our schools with teachers, with parents, and with other organizations. I meet with the principals. We're having a principals breakfast on campus, and we want to get those connection points in those schools at multiple levels. Tip O'Neill at one point said all politics is local. I will tell you, all education and educational recruiting is local, and so we hope to do that on the Seminole campus. We also expect that these personnel will serve as coaches or navigators, as we hear in some of the language lately, for the admissions process, assisting students with checklist items and pulling them through the enrollment funnel. For this purpose, we're asking for a recruiter, a full-time recruiter to serve on our campus, and then we're also asking for a combination, or a funding of $20,000 for a combination of student ambassadors and for OPS staff to help us with that purpose. Next item, and I'd like Mr. Spinelli to join me for this one, please, is to right-size cafe services on the Seminole campus. As some of you know, the campus moved from 2 cafes to 1 cafe. We closed the cafe and the library so we can move our new bookstore there. The bookstore has been a stunning success, but the cafe not so much. We did a few minor renovations to that cafe, but when we looked at the cost of expanding the cafe to be in the area now occupied by the bookstore, which was our plan, we found that the expenses were much higher than we could possibly cover with existing campus PICO discretionary funds. We know that Clearwater has done an extraordinary job with their cafe. They've increased their revenue by some 37%, some 29%, $37,000 as a result of it. And Mr. Spinelli, who is our purchasing agent, as you know, who works with the vendor in our food committee, has some further insights. Mr. Spinelli.
Good morning. The interesting thing is that when we expanded the food service at the Clearwater campus, their volume from grill and fried items, as much as that bothers us, has gone to 40 to 50% of their volume. Some of the comments from the SGA at their last meeting at the Seminole campus were that this gentleman, Zachary Gomez, eats at the Clearwater campus because it can't even compare to what he can get at the Seminole campus, and it's the same vendor. So it's basically a facility issue that needs to be addressed. SGA at our last meeting, and we have these meetings within a couple of weeks of the beginning of every term, said we'd be willing to throw in money, $50,000. The lines are too long. We can't get the food that we want. The bookstore in the fall season, when it moved, gained $92,000 in volume. That was up almost 17%. So it's a win-win for the college, for the students, and for the vendor to support this. Thank you.
Thank you. We believe that the $250,000 figure is a little bit high. When we talk to our facilities friends, they don't like to put in a low figure, but we know, especially if we could get our own staff to work on this as a priority, we could reduce that cost dramatically, but that is the cost we've been given to request for that purpose. The next item is to provide ongoing stream of revenue and support for repairs in the digitorium. You may remember that it was either last year or the year before that Dr. Law challenged us at Seminole to keep the digitorium current and to make sure that it was on the leading edge of services for our community and for our colleagues on the other campuses. As you know, we use that facility quite a bit for events across the college, spring training tomorrow being a good example. Since then, we've replaced some equipment, but we're now struggling to have a ongoing source of revenue for that since it's a fairly expensive facility. We upgraded the projectors in that facility. We installed a new media wall, which many of you will see for the first time tomorrow during that spring training exercise. But there is a continuous need for funding for replacements, for upgrade, and to remain current. I've asked the staff to prepare a 10-year plan to do just that. You see that as an attachment here to this item. And the determination is that it will cost $50,000 to $65,000 per year on an annual basis to maintain this. It's sort of like the dental chairs at Health. There needs to be an ongoing fund, and the fund that's in the campus provost discretionary fund would not, well, it would cover it, but then there wouldn't be funds for anything else like replacement of chairs and the like. So we're requesting $50,000 this year and on a recurring basis off the top of the capital outlay budget for ongoing maintenance, repair, replacement, and needed equipment in the digitorium. And the last item that I have is the one that is a better use of facilities. You'll also remember that Dr. Law, during that conversation about keeping the digitorium current, asked that we check out the Turnbull Center at Florida State University, that they were doing some unique things at that place. And I did get to visit it, and it's taken me 2 years to make this request, but I think Dr. Law got it just right. And so our intent with this initiative is to develop a low-cost, service-oriented organization within the Seminole campus to market, schedule, and operate a first-class event center. We have some extraordinary facilities, thanks to the college and the board, the president. We have the digitorium, we have the conference center, we have a new tiered classroom, and we have the hospitality classroom, which we're upgrading this year with some new technology. And we believe we can package all those into an event center for organizations and businesses, for governmental agencies as a rental place. And that the difference, the value added for us in this center is that we'll be able to film, we'll be able to edit, we'll be able to, in our studio on the third floor of the UP building, have pre-sessions where individuals can come up and do interviews, and we can provide businesses, organizations, governmental groups, chambers, the like, we can give them a finished product where they can take the outcome of their events and turn them into instant training sessions. So we're asking for funding to begin the creation of this event center, and we're asking for funding for an event specialist, someone who would help us with not only logistics but marketing the program, with a multimedia specialist who can help us with editing and working with the venues, and then with a halftime assistant to help it all come together. And this is modeled on the Turnbull Center, and we think it provides us with a unique opportunity to raise our profile, raise some revenue, and make better use of our facilities. So those are the items from the Seminole campus. I'll pause for any questions. Thank you all very much.
I'm making this request on behalf of all of the Associate Provosts college-wide. This is in response to our charge to increase enrollment by 3%. The Associate Provosts looked at some of our existing events and tried to think through some new events. We currently have the Mac J. Williams and the Vilma Zalupski ceremonies for high-achieving minority high school students. We've done that for years. We bring all the 3.0 or better students on our campuses, invite their parents, their grandparents. They get an award for being high achievers. We have an inspirational speaker, and we give them a certificate and send them on their way. We want to use those events as a recruiting effort and expand them to include putting literature about St. Petersburg College in their hands, possibly taking them on tours of the campus. These are some of the best and brightest students in the county, and we would like for SPC to be their first choice, not their fallback. We would also like to start having on all the campuses, you heard Dr. Oliver mention the principal's breakfast. We've done that sporadically through the years, but we would like to be more intentional about inviting the principals from our feeder schools that come to the various campuses to a breakfast where they'll meet with some key people on the campus. We'll be able to answer some questions and try to encourage them to encourage their students and the parents in their schools to seek SPC as their partner. We've got other outreach efforts that we've tried at some of the campuses, and we want to expand those to all of the campuses. That includes field trips or visits from grade school children as well as high school students. The schools that have magnet programs that mirror some of our programs, we want to be more intentional about inviting them out to see our programs. Even the fifth graders, we bring them out to the Habitat Park or the museums, the things that we have on campus. During that time, we'll give them the little commit to complete bracelets and have them sign the poster and get them excited about SPC being their community partner so that they'll start to think of us as their next progression once they graduate from high school. So college-wide, we are asking for $21,900 to divide among the campuses to carry out some of these efforts. Any questions?
Good morning. Rod Davis, Tarpon Springs campus. This budget request that we're requesting has a net impact cost of about $1,466 in the budget position dollars that are offset by the corresponding reduction of OPS funds. What we're requesting is to combine one part-time student support advisor and one part student support specialist into our testing center into one full-time student support position. Currently, the testing center is staffed by one full-time budgeted and two 20-hour per week budgeted position. These two 20-hour per week budgeted positions also work 20 hours of OPS. As a result of the developmental education reform, year-over-year volume in testing is decreasing. So projected future workloads in the testing area can be handled by two projected positions, and the impact of this staff personnel will be absorbed through the staff and attrition. Any questions? Thank you.
Good morning. This request is to move the curator of the college art collection position from an OPS 26-hour per week position to a full-time budgeted position. It would be an increased cost of $17,000 plus benefits. In 2011, we received a directive to utilize the college's art collection to create a stunning increase of art on our campuses. The goal was and continues to be to enrich the college experience as well as to engage and inspire students in an effort to improve student success. Since then, the college collection has quickly become so much more than just art on the wall. It is instead, it has created a visually stimulating learning environment and is a vast resource for cross-disciplinary themes. Since that time, the college collection has been used by faculty to enrich academics and programs, to promote critical thinking and dialogue, to create a portal to international cultures, and to bring our students to the community in the community to our students through diverse programming and creative collaborations. Our museum quality collection is over 4,500 pieces of contemporary and historic art. It's valued at almost $2 million and is managed by the college curator. She has installed art on 9 campuses and has developed culturally relevant and timely exhibitions and programming for our students as well as for the extended community. Over the past 6 months alone, in addition to creating displays at our Tarpon, Seminole, Clearwater, and Gibbs campuses, she has curated 5 exhibitions, including the African American History exhibit, the Holocaust Memorial exhibit, the Hispanic Heritage exhibit, and the Gulf Coast Museum of Art exhibit. To date, we have over 250 works on display across our campuses, including 6 outdoor sculptures. And we have the potential to touch every facet of our students' college experience, given the enormity of this collection. Yet, and while 250 pieces may sound like a lot, we are barely touching the tip of the iceberg. A single hall in a single building on a single campus across this college can easily accommodate 20 to 25 pieces of art. So considering that with our number of campuses and halls and classrooms, et cetera, 250 pieces, as you'll see, really does not begin to demonstrate what we can do with this collection. At the same time, the demand for art exhibits, and special programming related to the art is increasing. I hope we will not think of art as a luxury, because I think it can be a critical component of the environment we want to create for our students here at St. Petersburg College. I think it can be an important part of the college experience that we are creating here at SPC. As we look to increase enrollment through enhanced recruitment, retention, and engagement, our college collection can engage our students, their minds, their hearts, and their imaginations, and in new and in unique and meaningful ways. With that, I thank you for your consideration, and I open it up for questions.
Good morning. Thank you very much for this opportunity to present today. My name is Dan Bartow. I'm the Director of Security, Risk Management, and Safety Operations. My proposal today is for additional officers for the Security Department. Over the past decade, the college has grown in both enrollment and campus buildings and grounds, especially its square footage. For instance, almost immediately upon security being brought in-house in 2007, the college added the Palladium to its property list. It resulted in 2 officer positions being siphoned off from other sites to provide the coverage. Recently, the college added the new Vet Tech building without staffing it for college security personnel. The college recently added the HEC Annex into its building repertoire without additional security officers for that site as well. In addition, the college-wide security dispatch has grown into a major logistical support center, as well as a security checkpoint for district office. In addition, when the college is on holiday break, like the upcoming spring break, college security officers still staff all sites. College partnerships mandate dispatch, downtown center, EPI, GEDs across all campuses. Seminole and St. Pete Gibbs libraries and Seminole Library and LIPA Ratner are all open and staffed by college personnel. This presents coverage issues and stresses, as well as increased pressures to use contract personnel. Please note, though, that this proposal does not include any personnel, security personnel, for the new Midtown Center. In my request, I've asked for 1 senior officer, a shift supervisor, if you will, for nights at Downtown Center. There is currently no budgeted nighttime security supervisor at that site. The position is filled by a security officer. I've also requested 1 security officer for evenings at Midtown. This is currently covered by a contract officer. 1 security officer for evenings at Vet Tech. Again, there was no positions budgeted there. This is a request for an officer, in-house security officer at nights at Vet Tech. We've also requested one security officer for weekend dispatch services, as well as to serve for a relief and support officer here at Epicenter. I've requested a security officer position at St. Pete Gibbs. Security support is enhanced there with an unbudgeted OPS position, and one security officer at the Seminole campus. As Dr. Oliver stated earlier, this campus has become extremely busy, and it also has a city-run public library, and we need the additional support there. We're open 7 days a week and most holidays. I've also requested one security officer at HEC. With this new separate structure of the HEC annex, it's a busy corner lot as well. It needs additional support. But a significant portion of these expenses could be offset by savings from overtime and contract personnel. Over $56,000 from contract security personnel could be used to fund in-house services. When fully staffed, overtime expenses could see a reduction as much as 50% as well. The unfunded OPS position at Gibbs costs approximately $15,000 as well. So approximately 45% of the current requested costs could be covered by monies that are already being spent. In addition, our students pay a security fee. It's the maximum allowed by law, and I think it's only fair that our student centers be staffed with security personnel and adequately at that. Thank you. If anyone has any questions, I'd be glad to answer them right now. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Mike Bennett, and I'm speaking on behalf of Financial Assistance Services. Current federal regulations state that if a college's three-year cohort default rate goes over 30% or higher for 3 consecutive years, or 40% for any 1 year, they can lose eligibility for certain Title IV programs. And in our case, that would be the Pell Grant and the student loan, and that would be $152 million. Currently at SPC, we have a 3-year cohort default rate of 20.8%, and we have almost 5,000 students that are delinquent on their student loans heading for default. You see there a graph of the yearly borrowing averages for lower division students and upper division students, and you see that our student loan population and amount of borrowing has been growing for the last 4 years. To address this problem, we have spoken with 12 different business partners to outsource some help to work with our default students. And the company that we selected is a company by the name of Senate, which was the top-rated servicer for the last 2 years. What you see on this graph is they are projecting our 3-year cohort default rate for FY 2011 to go up to 26.05%, and our 3-year cohort default rate for FY 12 to exceed the 30%. They are saying that if we use their services on the graph, the gray is showing our default rate, the gold is saying what they will be able to reduce our default. So what we're excited about is if they work with us, we're looking at a potential 32% default rate, and with their help, lowering it to 18.10%. In addition to that service, this company also provides a product called Loan Look, and this is what this looks like, and we would be providing this product behind our portal. So when our students are getting ready to accept their student loans, they will be able to pause and quickly see how much they've borrowed, how much interest they're accruing, and what their repayment will be. And we're hoping that that will influence some of their decision-making there. This information is also available on mobile apps and tablets. This is, in a nutshell, default prevention, and you see that there's 6 different stages. And what I was trying to illustrate here is each of these stages will have its own separate implementation plan. The 4 stages to the right is what the company would be working with our students. And that would be when they're in repayment or delinquent in their loan, and there'll be a series of activities to change that. This company, again, if they contact the student, they have an 85% success rate moving them out of delinquency. To the left, there's 2 stages for the kinds of activities we would want to do within our area when a student is in school or in their grace period. And the cost of this to address delinquent loans to prevent default is $155,000 per year. And again, what the company would do would be skip tracing, reviewing deferment, forbearance, and consolidation options with our students. And that cost, as we move forward, will go down because we're addressing and correcting the problem. The second request that I have there is for a default prevention manager position, and that's to deal with the first 2 stages of when the student's in school or in grace period. And we're looking for this particular position to have in-person workshops, link sessions, calling individual first-time borrowers, promoting financial literacy, training staff for SLS class participation, and supervising and training our 15 FAS peer advisors. In addition to those 2 requests, and I've requested this for the last several years, we're asking for an FAS counselor for the Midtown Downtown campus. Currently, right now, we have 1 highly experienced person with over 25 years' experience that was a former director of financial aid, jumping back and forth between the campuses. It's simply not enough service in an area of high financial need, and we feel that if we had 1 person at each campus, it would help grow our enrollment. And the last request, and many people are coming forward with this request, we had in the past year 5 40-hour OPS positions reduced to 29 hours. Despite heroic efforts of our staff working nights and weekends, I feel we're slipping, and we feel if we address this one time and make these positions full-time, we'll be able to increase our services to students, it'll stabilize our operation, and we'll be able to explore more shifting some of our back office staff to the campus during peak times. In summary, this is the right thing to do, and it's the right time to do it. Thank you.
These are requests for the Allstate Center on behalf of J.C. Brock. The first request that we have is for the internship in fire science. This is an expanded workforce offering where we have our fire recruits in partnership with Pinellas County Fire Departments, where they gain valuable experience in a 286-hour internship. The money requested is to offset some of the instructor costs that we have that need to mirror these students through the program. The second one we have is a classroom furniture refresh, which is the second year of a 3-year refresh of furniture that's actually 26 years old, originally purchased in 1998. The bulk of our requests here, starting first with the defensive tactics room, these are requests that are necessary for us to maintain our certification with the state of Florida as a training center. The defensive tactics mat room is already not replaced, but repaired, and those repairs have already been deteriorated, and we've received audit criticism from the state auditor. The second one in conjunction with that is our driving pad, where we have a skid pad that, again, is in gross need of repair, and we've received audit criticism as well. Last year, we were unfunded in a training vehicle request of $50,000, where our fleet of 12 vehicles, we typically replace 2 a year because of the wear and tear on the vehicles for the training. We'd like to have the 2 vehicles replaced this year. And the main request here, too, for the Fire Training Center, we've had roughly 3,000 firefighters go through the Fire Training Center last year. The college has done the survey through facilities. We're grossly out of compliance with only 2 single restrooms and shower facilities there. So with male and female firefighters, we have to extend training and personnel costs just to allow them the time to clean up, from the recruits doing the burns to the other officers that are there doing hazardous materials burns and trainings as well. So these are our requests, and if there are any questions. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I'd like to say first thank you to Doug Duncan for allowing me to slip into this early spot this morning. I was originally scheduled for 2 o'clock when I actually have a class to teach, so thank you very much for working me in a little bit earlier. Heather Robertson, I'm here on behalf of the Faculty Governance Organization and the Collaborative Committee on Faculty Evaluations that has been working in conjunction with the deans and other program administrators for over a year, trying to come up with updated criteria for our faculty evaluations and incorporate new measurement tools, and try to go a little bit into the compliance with 6A now that we have changes coming to down from the state regarding that. Part of our process was updating our faculty evaluation tools that we have. And out of what we came up with our general recommendation summary, which a copy of that is on SharePoint as part of the funding request, part of our recommendation came up with the idea of having an enhanced ability for faculty to show what they actually do in the classroom, what they do out of the classroom as far as how they contribute it to the college mission and to the college experience. And our current paper format did not facilitate that. So we looked into the digital portfolio options that were out there. And we actually had a working group out of the 5 different topics that we had in our collaborative effort. One of our working groups examined the uses of a digital portfolio and how that could be incorporated at SBC for not only faculty use, but also among deans and programs administrators to kind of have a more meaningful process for our evaluation. What they came up with was looking for something that would integrate very well and easily. Can't really say it's going to be seamless, but as seamless as possible with our current system, so that data would automatically be fed into the system. And then also, too, something that would have an ease of use, so that it wasn't going to be overwhelming for faculty and for deans to use. We felt that the value of this type of system would really add to sort of our real-time look at where our faculty are, how they're contributing across the college. It would also facilitate credentialing reports and accreditation reports that we could run. It would give us a broad overview of the scholarly activities and give us a kind of an opportunity to even expand on our scheduling efforts so that we could look at a whole as sort of what all of our faculty are doing and be able to collaborate in a more meaningful space rather than just kind of shuffling papers around. And then also, too, we would be able to run reports about performance indicators. Here are a couple of screenshots, and this is probably the worst screenshot up here. This actually is a credentialing report from Faculty 180. Faculty 180 is the tool that we actually narrowed it down to and decided to recommend going forward. We actually had the ACT committee went and looked at, I believe it was the T part of our ACT committee, which is chaired by Eric Carver and Janice Teal. They actually guided very quickly a small group of the T committee members and collaborative committee members through the process of evaluating 6 different digital portfolio tools. Faculty 180 came out on top as the top ranked, and it was also the least expensive, but it was more importantly the one that was most geared for use in higher education. This is an example of a faculty course schedule and planning that can be done. Then we've also got the scholarly activities report. And then this one, as far as the classifications for faculty, these are actually performance indicators that you can put in, and you can look across the discipline, you can look across the college, you can even look at individual faculty and see how they scored as a whole or individually compared to individual criteria within our evaluation process. One of the things that we very much liked about Faculty 180 is that it is created by faculty for faculty, and again, for use in higher education. It is customizable so that we can put our own criteria into it and then also customize the reports that we have coming out of it. The implementation cost is this $23,000 figure for the first year, and then there's a first-year user cost of $32,000. And then we actually have quotes for a reoccurring cost annually of about $40,000. That would cover adjuncts plus full-time faculty. And again, this is the least expensive out of the ones that we looked at. It was our preferred choice, but the next one that was second in line was about $100,000 per year that we were possibly looking at. Also, too, very quickly about the use of a digital portfolio tool in the faculty evaluation process. This is not just a CV online. This is not something that, like with D2L, I believe there's e-portfolio options in D2L, and we actually looked into possibly incorporating that aspect of our LMS for faculty use. This actually goes beyond that. This actually allows us to run diagnostics, to actually run reports, and again, facilitate the meaningful process of faculty evaluation as a way to plan one's professional development and professional growth, and ultimately contribute to student success. As far as what Faculty 180 is proposing to provide for us with this initial implementation and then service, is essentially setting up our parameters in year one, helping us with customized reports, helping us set up our own criteria in there, training for select staff that would be here at the college. Also, another thing too, this committee, FGO, and the deans are proposing that this budget item actually rest with the Office of Institutional Research and Effectiveness. Because this is going to be directly tied to the type of diagnostic services that they provide and data analysis things that they would provide as well. We actually have a member of that department, Sabrina Crawford, our executive director there, who has worked with this system before at a previous institution, knows the ins and outs of it, and she's very familiar and feels that she could provide support as well going forward, getting this set up. Webinars during the year, ongoing training and support, and then also software upgrades. The discussions that we've had already with this vendor have been very, very productive. The things that we do here at SPC are very dynamic, very forward, and they've already said, listen, if you want it, we can create it, and they're ready to work with us. So, if there's any other questions, anybody?
I'm trying to understand when you talk to your faculty colleagues, what you tell them this is going to accomplish, what problems is it going to solve, and what potential is it providing?
Number one problem it's going to solve is the paper. Okay, right now with our faculty evaluation process, we've got a very static piece of paper that we print out, fill out, we give it to our dean, and our dean signs it, gives it back to us, that type of thing. Anything that we want to attach to that says, this is what I'm doing in the classroom, this shows how I'm supporting that evaluation criteria, we have to print it out, we have to give it to them. I mean, we've collaborated with deans, and deans have told us that they have binders of information. So this is hoping to facilitate a smoother process so that can be updated in real time. So if someone attends a conference, if someone gives a presentation, if someone writes an article, if someone is even serving on a committee, it'll be updated immediately in the system so that evaluations would be a lot more meaningful rather than just gathering a whole bunch of pieces of information there.
What parts of this system are, what's the transparency? Who can see what parts are not appropriate to be transparent? Do they have a dialogue on that?
Yes, we actually can set any of the settings in there as far as who can see what. We control that, through Faculty 180, so we can set our own criteria. But what we discussed in the committee was that faculty only get to see their individual data. However, their program administrator, their dean, would have access to whomever their people are. So there would be protocol set up for that. But I wouldn't be able to go in and pull up one of my colleagues', personal information. However, there is an aspect that if we would like to, we can actually include a query option where we can say, for instance, if I'm doing a lecture on, freedom of speech, I can go in there and say, okay, have any of my colleagues ever done a presentation on freedom of speech? And it would be able to pull up anyone that has that listed in their digital portfolio as something that they've done. So I would be able to make a phone call, send an email to try to collaborate. So there's a little bit of transparency, but we also do get to set the privacy settings with that. Any other questions that anyone has with this? Okay. Thank you very much for your support. And now, Dr. Carver.
Good morning, everyone. As you know, CETL over the last 3.5 years has evolved. We started out with a simple focus, and we have since then included many projects. We currently have taken over the Excellence in Adjunct Instruction course, which provides access to 1,300 plus adjuncts. And to the CETL side, we've also built a course for full-time faculty members to go through the first-year experience for our full-time faculty members. We have a website that hosts a myriad of resources for faculty members. And then with the previous demonstration, a potential faculty portfolio system that's moving on board that will first address roughly 385 full-time faculty members and then upward of 1,300 faculty members. So as you can see, there's a lot of technical projects and pieces. In addition, we have CETL grants where faculty members apply for technical resources, whether it's apps and some of these things, and we support those faculty members in using those apps and delivering some of these technologies within their classroom as part of the grant process. As you can understand, it's time-consuming, and as we're growing for optimum sustainability, CETL will request a part-time TSS, a technical support specialist that can really provide us the resource and support for our teams to address some of those questions, that we can have a point person that can focus, that if someone's calling with a specific technical challenge, and that we can work collaboratively as a team to be able to provide that support for faculty members. I provided a few links that shows some other institutions commensurate of our size and some of the resources they have specifically embedded with their teams. So in short, we're gaining more tech, not less tech. So CETL requests the opportunity for consideration for this position. If there's no other questions, keep it short and simple. Thank you.
Good morning. I'm here to share with you a couple of the more pressing needs of the science department, and I have one document on my computer that I want to read some things off of very quickly. Our first request is for laboratory specialists for the Seminole campus and also for the biology upper division program at the Clearwater campus. Two very different needs, but so I wanted to tell you a little bit about what's driving both of them. At the Seminole campus, we have, it's the only campus without a full-time laboratory specialist. Currently, there are 24 different sections of laboratory taught each week on the Seminole campus in 11 different subjects. We are involved institution-wide with instituting a common system for storing, inventorying, and ordering equipment for all the sciences across the institution called QuartZ. We need someone at the campus as a full-time person with a proper background to help us with that, and also to ensure the safety materials and processes are put in place. Our part-time folks are doing a great job, but if you're looking for some way to sort of bring the various campuses together as one institution and look at our laboratory program in a more unified way, Without the stability that a full-time person would bring to us, it's very difficult to do. The campus has grown fairly extensively. It has had a part-time laboratory specialist since it opened, and that has not changed. The number of sections of labs, as I checked last night, have doubled in the last 2 years at that campus. We have opened a new laboratory facility in a different building, so we now have 3 separate laboratory facilities with 2 separate preparation areas, and we definitely need a full-time person to help manage that. This person, as they all do on the campuses, also manages student assistants currently. He's managing 4 student assistants, and we really need probably 1 or 2 more. So that's the story at the Seminole campus. The Upper Division program is at the Clearwater campus, and it too does not have a full-time laboratory specialist. The Upper Division program has 36 different laboratory classes in it that are offered every year. 17 were offered in the fall semester. The number for the spring semester is something around 14, and the remainder are offered in the summer. We do not have we operate that program with a part-time laboratory specialist and 1 student assistant. To give you a little idea, I was going to read you the list of the 17 courses that are being offered. These are not what most of us have experienced, unless you are science majors, in our undergraduate career. Just to give you an example of the complexity, we have to store materials for that lab program at 3 different temperatures below 0. Excuse me. So we have 3 different systems for storing materials. A great deal of the activity in there is molecular biology, which requires very, very careful procedures. You don't find too many student assistants at the sophomore level or the freshman level in college that can support that. The cost when something goes bad in that program is extremely expensive, and what we really do need to support that program is a person whose academic qualifications and experience can support the needs of the program. It's far more technologically complex than anything we do in the lower division. Again, that situation has been since the program was created a number of years ago. It has grown to just short of 400 enrollments this semester, and probably something on the order of 200 students, and again, 36 different laboratory courses. The program is somewhat unique because it offers usually just 1 section of each of those courses because of the variety that we have to have in the program. So that's the laboratory specialist piece. Next on our list is, let me see. That's a $70,000 request. The next one on the list is kind of a maybe request, or I hope so request. We currently have a project that all of you, I think, know about, the Bay Pines STEM Center, that we're working on getting funding for. We have about half of the funding in hand, and the request for the rest of the funding is currently in the budget request for the state. I'm optimistic, and I believe we will get that, so that we hopefully can start construction on it. There is, if you could show the image that's associated with this, I believe I've got there. I wanted you to see, if you haven't seen what it looks like, I wanted you at least to have a chance to see what it looks like. Maybe. There it is. The facility's down at a place called Hurricane Hole, adjacent to the VA hospital at Bay Pines. As you can see, it'll be a complex of 3 buildings. We're very mindful of the environment there so as not to upset the environment too much. It's going to be designed for a whole lot of different functions. My purpose here is to say that if we do begin construction next year, we're going to need an executive director and an administrative person to support that project. Otherwise, we'll have the building built and we won't be able to do the functions that are going to be in the building. So if it's funded and construction begins, I'm thinking we'll need to hire these positions sometime in mid-spring of next year, so they can be on board to begin to bring the community participation into that. So our second request is for that. It's about a $96,000 request for both of those positions. I picked an A&P grade 6 salary schedule for the executive director position because it's the same, I believe, as the museum curator position, and that seemed to be an appropriate level. And then the classified staff position is an administrative specialist staff position. So that's our second request. Our third one is one that I think may be unique to our program, but certainly to some of the other upper division programs. About 50% of the students in our program come into our program to take courses to be able to get into medical schools, professional schools, and graduate schools. And they may or may not have already succeeded in getting a bachelor's degree. All of our students in the program, our program registered students, are headed towards either a career or graduate school of some kind or medical school of some kind. We need an advisor to work with those students from the time they enter to plan their program, but more importantly than that, we probably work with 24 different graduate, professional, and medical schools, and each one has a specialized requirement for students to fulfill to be competitive candidates for their programs. And that type of advising with 200 students in the program is just beyond what our faculty and our academic chair can do. So we're requesting what I've termed a professional medical school advisor to work with our graduates to get them ready to be competitive candidates to either go into careers, which will be an increasing track as we unveil our biotechnology degree, and also to help them get into medical and professional schools. The cost of that one, I don't believe I've got it here. I don't remember, something in the 40,000s, I believe. And finally, let's see, I got one more. The Seminole campus. I'm sorry Jim's not here. We installed a new lab at the Seminole campus this year, and it was one of two that was originally planned. The other room that's adjacent to it, that was to be a laboratory facility, was plumbed to the walls to accommodate a lab facility, but it is not set up as a lab facility. It's a classroom right now. We would like to finish that project. It will allow us, once we do that, to offer the full range of all the natural science courses, including organic chemistry, which we can't offer right now. The cost for redoing labs is astronomical. We had architects give us a preliminary estimate to fit out that lab, and it came back at $375,000, higher than I thought it would be. But our fourth request is for probably PICO funds or some other sorts of remodeling funds that we could get to finish out that lab, which would then give the campus a full complement of 4 labs, 2 in 2 different centers, and would probably stand them in good stead for the next 10 years. And I would be happy to answer questions. Thank you.
Good morning, Tyrone Clinton, Associate Provost, St. Petersburg Gibbs Campus. Today I'm respectfully requesting the reinstatement of a full-time budgeted assistant, administrative assistant. Currently our office is staffed by 1 full-time assistant and an OPS assistant. It's difficult to retain that position, the OPS position, because of the hourly restrictions. Our office serves a high volume of students, staff, and faculty, and our charge, as the college is charged, is to provide customer service with the highest quality and the highest efficiency. Our office handles issues pertaining to student attempts, medical issues, campus civility, student life and leadership, disability resources, testing, outreach specialists. So we service a myriad of different departments and programs. We help to drive many of the 5 initiatives. We're instrumental in new student orientation. As well, we help to serve with My Learning Plan, Early Alert, out-of-class support, and integrated advising. The reinstatement of the position would offer the opportunity for someone to develop their skills for a more extended period of time and allow us to serve students with even greater quality and efficiency. Thanks for considering my request. Are there any questions?
Good morning. I'm Jim Conley from Corporate Training. Wasn't me. Dr. Law, thank you for this opportunity. And colleagues, welcome. Workforce and professional development at SPC through corporate training has been disruptive via innovation and technology. I'm always reluctant to use the word disruptive because as a child it wasn't good. In education today, being able to take expensive things and make them less expensive and work with students is more the norm. This started when Dr. Law invested in our Learn to Earn program and took personal support. Since then, in the past 3 years, we've had 10,000 students participate and over 2,000 certificates of value have been earned through those students. A recent quote on Facebook, Rebecca stated, "The social media networking course helped me land my first contract with a very large law firm. They are keeping me on as a retainer. Thank you." To continue our theme in corporate training, we will be the first to operate and maintain a Pearson VUE test center amongst our corporate colleagues. We're doing this, and the rationale is very specific for our community students and our credit students that are testing for industry-recognized certifications. This coincides with the performance-based funding model established by the state. On my spreadsheet, it'll show the revenue and expense, and the value to St. Petersburg College is going to be approximately $450,000. It'll be returned to the institution. Growth in these areas include the Dantes, where we will be working with Jesse Cragio. We've created a statistic MOOC, but the students will be able to working with Brian Frank and law enforcement. They just have a new Pearson VUE exam for students. The second part, the growth of corporate training and increased grants, the H-1B, the HIT grant, as well as manufacturing, trade, and medical devices. We would like to reallocate a position that was sales, move to admin, and we'd like to move it back to sales. It's logical to say that we could double our production. We did 88, in the past 18 months, 88 contract training agreements, serving over 1,836 participants. Our partners include Bright House, Tech Data, et cetera. Today I learned that we just closed a deal with Raymond James to do project and quality management for $28,000. So this is a sustainable position, and the revenue goes back to SBC. On the second spreadsheet, you'll see it's approximately $400,000. Our lag numbers the last 3 years show support for the lead measures and how we could generate that revenue. Thank you. Anybody have any questions?
Did you say it's a reallocation of a position?
Yes.
So you already have the money in your hand?
Kind of, yeah. It's an admin position, and I was asked to just to reallocate it toward the sales, but to present it so that they.
It's your position?
Yes.
These are further questions. Why do you think you need to come here with that request?
I was asked to, just to show what corporate training has been doing and how we're going to move forward in working with business and industry in Pinellas County with trade and the other grants that are available.
My request is very simple. If you guys can see these screens, you probably can't see them too well. Either means we're getting old really fast, or they're 10 years old and they're getting blurry. So basically, all the displays you see in this room were purchased in 2005. So they're on about the 10-year mark. Many of you have attended board meetings where people have, or other events in this room where people can't see the displays. Sometimes you put spreadsheets up and the colors don't look so well. That's all this request is for, is to replace these displays, the projectors, the displays, and simplify the operation of some of the meetings. We're not going to replace everything in this room. We're only going to maybe do some rewiring and replace these displays, and that's it. Any questions?
Good morning, Dr. La. Good morning, everyone. My name is Avinash Deshpande. I work in Administrative Information Systems, and I'm here to request for a software that we propose to use, which will help us clean up the addresses in our PeopleSoft system. Many times, or many departments around the school, especially marketing and any marketing material that we mail out, we get a lot of return from the mail, and we end up processing all the return mail, and that takes a lot of time, a lot of man hours. And so I'm requesting and proposing that we get this clean address software, which will be installed on top of PeopleSoft, and it also has a built-in capability to clean up the data that we already have. And after we do that, hopefully we'll have less return mail and things will be manageable.
How does it work? What does it do?
Basically, Dr. La, once you install the software, it will check for validity of the address, because the database will have all the correct addresses from USPS database, and that we'll have access to. So every time if someone enters a wrong zip code, it will say, no, you cannot enter the wrong zip code. This is the real zip code. Or it will update the city based on the zip code.
And where will we intercept it? Where will it intercept our activities?
At the time of entry, if the student enters the data, and if the address is incorrect, it will prompt him or her that, okay, the address is incorrect or the spelling is incorrect, something like that. And I can do a demo if...
No, I've seen it.
Okay. Okay. Any more questions? Thank you very much. And it doesn't cost as much as the return mail handling cost, and if we pay for 3 years, we'll have a little bit better discount. Thank you, sir.
Good morning. I'm Kevin Gordon, and this morning I'm here representing 3 sites that I oversee: the Downtown Center, the Midtown Center, and the Palladium. I have 6 requests this morning. The first one is additional funding for supplies for faculty. Downtown and Midtown are in growth mode, so we've been adding additional faculty over the last couple of years, adding an academic chair for communications last year and adding a academic chair for math this year. So I'm requesting $3,000 in additional funds for supplies for the additional faculty that we'll be adding. I'm also requesting a student support assistant position for Downtown Midtown. This position is to help staff the testing center, which we currently do not have any staffing for, and to also assist with new student orientation as those roll out during different times of year. This position can also assist at the front line when there is downtime for the testing center and NSOs. I'm requesting $12,000 in additional professional development funds. I currently have $3,000 allocated to that, which is insufficient for the number of sites that I have, so I'm just requesting funds to be able to provide professional development opportunities for the staff at the 3 centers. I'm requesting at Midtown a full-time staff assistant for the front desk. Currently, that is funded by OPS part-time, and that's the only person that we have staffing that other than the security officer. By having a full-time person allocated there, that's going to allow us to provide better security coverage at Midtown as well as having someone full-time at the front desk. I'd also like to point out that both of the positions that I'm requesting can be offset with current OPS dollars that are allocated to downtown and Midtown. I'm requesting $25,000 in maintenance/capital funds for the Palladium. Since that came underneath my supervision, I've also been responsible for the maintenance and upkeep of the Palladium without additional funding when it was allocated. Just to give you an example, last year we had to replace some doors at the Palladium, which cost $10,000 for one set of doors. So that's just an example of some of the costs associated with running the theater. So we're requesting some additional funding for that. The last request is for refresh funds for the computer lab in room 123 downtown. This was an old lease from 2007, which was eventually bought out by the college, and it's now at the point where it needs to be replaced. So I'm requesting $7,000 for that to go to Green Refresh so that we can purchase these on lease to update that lab. And that concludes all of my requests. And questions? Any questions?
On the last one, I was under the impression last year that we brought, Doug, the request for the computer lab, I was under the impression we had brought everything under the master replacement plan. Is that not the case?
Yeah. This probably is a reallocation issue because this particular is I understand it, is one of the few remaining purchased labs that was on, and it may have been purchased a number of years back. But I think it's really one of just, there's been some shift from St. Pete Gibbs to downtown.
Yep. My understanding that this was a lease buyout like in 2010 or so, so these are actually computers that are owned and not leased by the college. All right. Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Rich Flora, the Dean at Veterinary Technology, and what we have proposed is that we convert one of our full-time faculty positions to an academic chair. A lot of the accreditation requirements by our accrediting agencies and the United States Department of Agriculture that we fall under are increasing all the time, so the amount of routine work that's required to keep those accreditations up is increasing. We've also seen, or I've also been without a program director for the last 6 years, and during that time our enrollment has grown 44% and our student semester hours have grown 38%. So what we're asking is to convert one of our full-time faculty positions to an academic chair with the recurring cost of the $13,197, which reflects the stipend for an academic chair. Are there any questions? Thank you.
Where we're a few minutes ahead of schedule. We're scheduled to break for lunch. If we could, Nicole, Paul. Andrea. Okay, I thought maybe we'd get a couple in. Why don't we just go ahead and break then while they set up those two?
Why don't we take like the first 2 dozen of Leopold's?
Wow. 2 hours.
That goes down for last year. Let's just start. You got an hour?
We could do that. You want to do it first? We can do that. Maybe you're first. Well, don't do all of them. You don't get me. Do your first 3 and then we'll.
Okay. Wow.
Good morning. I am Joe Leopold, and I do have a reputation. Seriously, I want to share with you some slides that I have before I talk about the instructional support specialist positions that we need, primarily in computers and science spread around the campuses. This will provide some context. I know we're used to looking at the lower right-hand cell, but for this one, let's look at the upper right-hand cell. This reflects the students, unduplicated, and the visits that we've had in the learning centers from August 19th to February 28th. You can see we've already had 176,000 visits, 23,000 student sets. In the learning centers on the campuses, you can see those numbers in the visits. The NIP centers, the ones at HEC, Clearwater, Gibbs, and then the downtown and midtown open labs. The numbers are impressive indeed. And the numbers of students, not just the visits, are impressive as well. Doug, if you go to the next slide, please. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. The second slide are the tutoring totals by subject, also from August 19th to the end of February. And what we have are the subjects that we offer. And in blue, I highlighted the computers, which is a lower number because typically we would roll in the downtown and midtown open labs in there. Math and stats, the science numbers, and then you see the other subjects there, reading and so forth, writing. And this, again, gives you context of the number of students that we're getting and the number of visits that they're with us. And then finally, student success rates in some selected courses for last fall. The courses are 5 math classes that we see most frequently, that students are coming in for, and then 5 science courses that we get students coming in for most frequently. The enrollments are there, the success rates as they stand in BI, and then I also wanted to highlight, because I'll be asking for a couple virtual positions, the online enrollments, the MAT 0028, that's actually 6, it's not 6.3, it's higher. The success rate, and then the 5+ visits, and then the differences. For just a moment, if you look at MAT 0018, the students who came 5+ times or more, they had a 68.8% success rate, which is 12% higher than what they had had they not been there. If you look down that right-hand column, statistics is higher, almost 12%. You see the numbers there for human anatomy and physiology, not just in the lecture, but also in the lab environment. And you can see those enrollment numbers are pretty close. They're only 1 enrollment off. Chemistry improves. But they're impressive indeed. And again, these are the students that we're seeing most frequently coming into the learning centers, and these are the kinds of positions I'll be requesting here in the first half hour of my presentation. Doug, if you please get to the things. The learning centers have changed dramatically in the last several years. You all know that. You've contributed to the success of them. Campuses have really worked hard to make the environments much more pleasing to students. We want them to be there to give some more time to linger. We know that's also the case in libraries. But the staff there also does more so now than they did several years ago. They're responsible for helping students with action plans. They promote and put on workshops. They
give course help in courses that previously they had not done before, because faculty are seeing tremendous gains by their students. Another function that tutors have been doing is working with students with disabilities. And this is as we begin to merge with disabilities and get students who come in, reducing the stigma of having a disability. They also want to be part of the learning centers. Our tutors are working more with those students now than they have before. And one final point I want to make. Many of our tutors now work with students who are enrolled in computer-assisted courses that require help with software. StatCrunch, my Stat Lab, my Comp Lab, my Math Lab, my IT Lab. And therefore, you will see, hopefully, the logic in the kinds of positions that I'm requesting for today. The first one is an instructional support specialist position at the Gibbs campus that is for science. It's a full-time position. I have some data in the slide in the description. More importantly, just for a second, look at the course success rates for chemistry. If I followed 62.4, introduction to biology 65.8, and anatomy and physiology 69.4. This is the middle of that paragraph. Indicate a need persists to help students in these and other science gateway courses, especially for those students who have opted for flexible placement. Success rates for students in general chemistry, 75%, introduction to biology, 82.6%, and anatomy and physiology, 78.4%, that have visited a learning center 5 or more times is 10%, 16 or almost 17%, and 9% respectively above the campus course success rates. This is at the St. Pete Gibbs campus alone, where we know that a large number of faculty work with students to provide out-of-class support, not only in the Learning Center, but in also alternate locations. That's the first request, Doug. Yes, sir.
This position would support the alternate location?
No. No, sir. We would hope that if we get the science person in the Learning Center, those students who had been in the alternate locations would also migrate over to that new spot. And we could create more of a hub where we have it in the TE building, TE 200.
And what would happen to the prior alternate space?
Well, I would hope that it would also continue to grow. But we want students to continue to move over to TE 200 and move away from being in the alternate locations, because we'd also need some materials there that we could push into that building. Again, I realize I'm not being clear. That TE 200 should be the hub for all of the out-of-class support. If we cannot get it where in the original location we talked about, it should be in that location.
It would be a tough sell by creating separate
Correct.
locations.
Right. Okay. Next request, please. This is at Seminole. Science is growing at Seminole as well. We know that with the addition of the labs this past year, we've seen enrollments spike. We know that faculty in the science department there have asked for materials and space. This position is requested because we're trying to meet student needs. It, too, will have the same number of enrollments that we had in the fall, perhaps more. And I just want to read some data here. We know that the success rates at Seminole for chemistry are 66%, biology 69.7, and then A&P is 64.7. However, if you go to the last 2 lines of that description, you'll see that students in general chemistry have a 71.8% success rate, biology is 76.9, and A&P is 75%. Again, these are a good bit higher. If they come in and get the help they need, they're a good bit higher than if they had not. So we know that, for instance, in chemistry, it's 5.8% higher. Biology, it's 7.2%, and A&P, it's 10.3% higher, respectively. We see this working now at the Tarpon Springs campus, where students go on Sundays into the science lab in the Library Learning Center there, and we know that their success rates are much improved over where they were last year, before we had the room. Next one, please. And this is also for Gibbs Math. Currently at Gibbs, we have only, we have 2 budgeted math instructional support specialists, but one of those persons is doing an internship, and then she'll be on maternity leave until August. We still, though, need a 3rd person. We are open almost 70 hours a week. that merits enough coverage that we can get. We're covering that right now with borrowing from other campuses, having an instructional support specialist come over from Clearwater 1 or 2 days a week, come over from downtown 1 or 2 days a week, and we know that we're stretched thin. This position would help stem some of that because it is at Gibbs in the math that we see the most persistent issues with student learning. If you look again in the middle of that, course success rates for developmental math courses are 55.4%, elementary algebra 54.4%, and the need persists for these students. This involves students, again, who are in flexible placement, who have chosen to not go where they might have been better counseled to, but instead have gone into MAT 1033. We know that at the Gibbs campus, for those students who come in 5+ times or more, their success rates in the developmental courses are 64.3, and in elementary algebra it's 57.8. That is that their success rates for the developmental courses are almost 9% higher, and for elementary algebra it's 3.5% higher. Would you like me to go on?
We'll do one more. I think it's set up, so we'll do one.
And then I have to come back?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh my gosh. All right. My next request is for Tarpon Springs Math. Currently, Tarpon Springs, we have 2.5 FTE, 2.5 budgeted staff. I would like to make that third person, the one who is part-time, whole. And so I'm requesting that we convert this from a part-time to a full-time position. Again, students are coming in. Their need is there. We're open 70 hours a week. Coverage is necessary, and I want to look again to the middle of that description. The course success rates for developmental classes, this is at Tarpon Springs only, are 59.6%, and elementary algebra 56.8%. When students come in 5 or more times, however, the developmental rate jumps to 70.2% success, and in MAT 1033 it's 66.4%. That is a 10.6% gain in developmental and a 9.6% gain in elementary algebra. Having Doug Bozarth elevated from part-time to full-time would help us provide adequate coverage. Currently, he works a lot also with College of Education students who come over and they're in the math ed program. And that doesn't quite conclude my requests, but I'll be looking forward to seeing you after lunch. Thank you. Okay, let's see, Doug. Let's go to the computers. The next three requests speak to the need for computer assistance. As some of you know from the Wednesday morning reports, computers comprise about 60% of the activity in the library's learning centers, not related to tutoring itself. This first one is for a part-time budgeted employee to tutor in the areas of tutoring at the Tarpon Springs campus. If you know the Tarpon Springs campus, it is fully integrated. It's a library and a learning center. The math is actually on the floor of the library. Tutors comprise a good percentage of their time on that floor. Real quick to the middle of that paragraph, it says for fall 2013, 2,279 students accounted for 13,459 visits. To use SPC computers. Through week 7 of this semester, 1,227 students have visited 4,076 times to the Library Learning Center. Again, given the number of enrollments, expected enrollments scheduled for next year in courses that require computer-assisted learning platforms, this request will help provide coverage for the busiest parts of the day, 9 a.m. to 2 p.m., while the library learning centers are available to students and public guests. At the Tarpon Springs campus, student visits for computer use was 62% of all student visits for fall 2013. We currently have no staff assisting students with their computer needs other than a tutor who walks over when pulled aside to come over and help a student with Angel or other elements of the learning management system or how to use Microsoft Excel. And we need someone who can do this for us and help the students. The next request also speaks to computers, please. This is at the Clearwater campus, and this is a full-time position. We're staffing it with little OPS dollars that we get from Dr. Setterland and then some of our own funding. But again, middle of the paragraph, please, for fall 2013, 1,840 students accounted for 9,964 visits to use our computers. Through week 7 of this semester, 1,582 students have visited 6,095 times to the Library Learning Center. Again, we expect enrollments to be connected to or close to what they were last fall, and they're going to be students taking computer-assisted learning platforms. This will give us coverage for a majority of the 70 hours that we are open and available to students in the LA building at the Clearwater campus, and that is a full-time position as well. And then the third computer position is at the Seminole campus, where again we have the beautiful TL building, and we have some library assistants, but we have tutors on the floor in writing, math, we have some science, and we have computers that we need help with. We're staffing this currently through some funds from departments and from the provost budget and some of my money, but what we need to do is get someone who's dedicated part-time who can be there during the busiest times of the days between 9 a.m. and 2 p.m. So again, middle of the paragraph, please. For fall 2013, 1,743 students accounted for 10,473 visits to use the computers. Through week 7 of this semester, 1,200 students have visited 5,000 times to the Learning Support Commons. Given those number of enrollments for next year in courses that require computer-assisted learning platforms, this request will provide coverage for the busiest time of the day, 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. Again, at the Seminole campus, student visits for computer use was 60% of all student visits for fall 2013. So, okay, thank you. The next several, this final request is for more tutoring, and then that will kind of close out that phase of my requests. But this is at the Health Education Center. You know, we have about 1,100 students enrolled in 5 bachelor's programs. We have continued to get more and more requests to help bachelor students with writing. It's something that we currently do in the NIP Center, but it's for the AS degree programs. And what we're looking for are 20 hours of OPS to help students who are needing writing help. If you go into Smart Thinking, you'll see again, middle of the paragraph, students at HCC use Smart Thinking at certain times of the semester more than any other student groups at the college, and those are baccalaureate students who get tutor feedback on their writing. We believe local, on-the-ground assistance should also be offered, given that tutors have familiarity with faculty assignments and grading rubrics. This request would allow HEC and VETTech to pursue student and other temporary employees and expand out-of-class support to a new student population that we have not done so before. And that closes out my request for tutors. We know also that the libraries have changed. It's evident when you walk into them. You see students coming and going more frequently, our gate count's up. But this next request really speaks to the nature of libraries themselves. That is, there is a particular model that suggests that we could use paraprofessionals, which is a grade below a librarian, to staff our reference desks. It's being done at many other institutions around the state and nationally. We've been experimenting with that for 2 years, actually, at the Clearwater campus, and we want to continue that funding. So this request will help us provide staffing at the reference desk using paraprofessionals. Now, let me just say, middle of the paragraph, data from Desk Tracker, that is the software program we use to monitor activities at our reference desks at all libraries, for 2012-2014 confirms that direction, technical, information questions comprise 45% or more of the questions asked at our reference desk. That is, where's the printer? Do you have a pencil? Can I get something stapled? Where can I go for this? And so forth. These questions can be easily answered by paraprofessional staff, as has been demonstrated through our current pilot program. Clearwater librarians therefore provided 67 instruction sessions for 1,600 students during the first 6 weeks of this semester. That has allowed them to work more closely with students and faculty at the Clearwater campus. In addition, we've introduced 13 workshops to encourage self-directed learning, and we're undertaking a significant review of our collection holdings, particularly as we begin to look forward to a new building. We want to continue this program, and we're requesting $8,000 for that. Next request, please. This is also at Clearwater. At Clearwater, we have one part-time senior administrative services assistant to help the Associate Director of Learning Resources there, Matthew Bodie. He is responsible for the writing studio in the library, which has become very popular, and as well as the tutoring activity in the LA building. He is in need of having a staff assistant full-time, not part-time, because we do not therefore have coverage at the desk in the LA building. When students come in, we want them to log in. We want to be able to help them with printers. We want to give them the kind of support that they're used to. And so this is simply asking for a conversion from part-time to full-time. Again, real quick, the bottom two sentences say we experienced an 185% increase in learning support common services. That doesn't include library instructions, faculty visits, and college IDs for this fall. The increase in dedicated employee hours will provide consistent monitoring, reporting, and tracking of student use in our commons there in the LA building. Next one, please. And this is also for the paraprofessional pilot program. We want to do it at HCC. We know we've gotten a lot more faculty buy-in. We have 2 librarians there who do all of the instructions. They do many one-on-one sessions with students. They do one-to-many sessions at HCC. We know, for instance, in the middle of that paragraph that our gate count confirms a 125% increase. This is as a result of integration with NIP. There is a doorway now. A 340% increase in reference questions, as noted in Desk Tracker, and then a 5% increase in campus library instructions. Additional data from Desk Tracker confirms that those kinds of questions that we receive, 45 to 50% of them or more, can be answered by a paraprofessional at the reference or circulation area. A little bit below that, HEC librarians have provided 18 instruction sessions for 531 students during the first 6 weeks of this semester, so we're asking for those 20 hours to continue there. One more. This will be an upgrade position, so again, we're moving into these positions that we feel need to be upgraded as a result of working with more and more students. This is at the downtown Midtown. Currently, we do not have a staff assistant for Heather Disler, who's the Associate Director of Learning Resources. We do have Ms. Kellyanne Ganu, who is a Student Support Services employee, and we want to upgrade her position to Senior Administrative Services Assistant. She currently works in the Downtown Open Lab, and then on 2 other days works as an assistant to Ms. Disler, helping her with scheduling and making sure that the tutors are getting their needs met, and students in particular who call and need help. You can see this would allow her to more legitimately do the things she's currently doing, which is provide clerical functions, provide departmental and organizational information, schedule, process forms. She uses a computer-related software to assist Ms. Disler, preparing standard communications, registering students. She does some of that as well, and then provides direction to student workers and may occasionally perform some of the duties of the higher levels. And one more, please. And then this is for Seminole. Again, you can see these are support positions to the managers, but they work directly with students. They're frontline positions. They're not in offices. They're on the floor for the entire time that they are at work. This is at Seminole, and this person would work with Ms. Jennifer Greger. It is we're asking for 25 hours of a senior administrative services assistant. Again, this person we do not have someone who functions in this way at all now. Would do the clerical functions to provide assistance to the library program director there, to provide departmental organizational information, to schedule appointments, process forms, use computer software as required, prepare communications, do all the things that staff assistants do, which, as many of us in this room know, they do everything. Okay, and then finally, the last two I have are. I think, as Dean Chapin had said, as a I don't know who said it, as a hope for kind of thing. We know that as a result of the Title III grant, we are looking at a virtual learning commons. And we know that we have smart thinking, and 90% of what students use in smart thinking is related to writing. But we know that students have needs in science and math, and they need those, they want to get those needs met, not necessarily face-to-face, because they may be enrolled in an online class, or they may need them at alternate hours or hours that we do not have provide that. This is looking to the future. This first position is for a instructional support specialist in math. And this person will be virtual. And you can see I have some data there in the middle. For fall 2013, all math lower division courses, these are enrollments, was 10,037, 24% of which was taught online. Student success rates for these courses was 58% compared to the 64.1% overall. Given the number of math enrollments scheduled, again, I continue to make that point for next year, and the prevalence of the use of computer-assisted course software, this request will help provide math tutoring coverage in a virtual learning commons that draws from learning toolkits, an abundance of visual resources, and an online just-in-time tutoring experience that can be conducted one-to-one or one-to-many. This request is in addition to our current online tutoring service, Smart Thinking, which offers tutoring to students in math subjects, but not course competencies, and that's the point I would make. Really, students don't necessarily need all of algebra. They need certain component parts of algebra, and we need to give them the choices and the assistance that they desire. This person in this position will be responsible for providing synchronous assistance that can be monitored and reviewed by faculty and students for future use. The last request, and I promise you, I see Rebecca's name, is for science. Science students don't visit us online that much, but when they do, they're panicked. They might try to get a tutor in smart thinking 5 times in a day. And we recognize that science students also have needs, and perhaps they're not getting those needs met if they're trying to get help after 9 p.m. or before 7 a.m. This position, again, is requested to meet the need of students enrolled in science courses, seeking out-of-class support in a virtual learning environment. Student enrollments for fall 2013 for all biological and physical science courses was 12,013, 20% of which was taught online. Student success rates for these courses was 67.3% and 60.9% respectively, compared to 72.6% and 76% overall. Given the number of biological and physical science enrollments scheduled for this coming year and the increased use of computer-assisted course software such as Connect, which is offered through McGraw-Hill and several others, this request will help provide science tutoring coverage in a virtual learning commons that draws from learning toolkits, an abundance of visual resources, and an online just-in-time tutoring experience that can be conducted one-to-one or one-to-many. Once again, we currently have smart thinking in a number of science subjects, but what we really want to help students with are core competencies in order to achieve those major learning outcomes that faculty are requesting students to do. And that concludes my requests. I'll take any questions.
So that last one, Joe, we'll start there.
Mm-hmm.
If that's approved, what would be the work hours for that individual?
We have to continue to look at when students are logging on for science. It might be, for instance, that we might start that person at 6 a.m. and go through the significant part of the day when students are coming into the learning support centers. This could serve as a triage for those students. For say, students could say, well, I couldn't get help at Clearwater or whatever campus we want to say in science, I'm going to call up and I have a virtual tutor for me. It could be that this person works from 4 p.m. to midnight, when we know that student use might be greater for science then, prior to classes or right after classes end, or when an assignment is due. This person could put together visual materials, put together little videos, and package things to faculty and students that could be pushed into D2L. Other questions? Thank you.
Good afternoon. Nikki Hall, Student Support Advisor at the Gibbs campus, and I am currently serving as our new AFC chapter president for St. Petersburg College. And I'm here today to make a request. As you know, there was a change in our leadership within the chapter, and we had a period of inactivity. So I am here today on behalf of the chapter members. We're asking for $10,000 to help rebuild the chapter and continue our participation in the association. I'd like to thank Dr. Law for his support and us participating in the association, but we have not had the presence at the AFC events as we had in the past. So we are diligently working to rebuild the chapter. Also, we would like to have information sessions at the college so that those who cannot attend the events through the AFC can still find out what's going on, because we can bring that information back to them, and we can host information sessions to allow them to know what's going on both at the state level and also what other colleges are doing to go through some of these issues with retention and some of those things. That's really what we're asking for. And that really concludes my presentation. I'll take any questions.
What would you do with the $10,000?
We're planning to use most of the money to take chapter members to the annual convention. They have a lot of breakout sessions. They have a lot of good information. Last year, we'd like to take more members there so they can see some of the professional development courses that they offer, and as well as seeing some of the things that other colleges are doing about retention and early alert, and see how take other advisors and faculty there to see how other schools are doing it. And maybe we can come up with plans or things that we want to do to rechange ours, whatever, but we really want to collaborate with other colleges to see what they're doing.
These are for quick. People have been going to the conference, though, have they not?
Yes, they are. We want to take more people, Dr. Law. We feel that it's important that we have a stronger presence. I sat in on Jesse's presentation and heard a lot of good things about it, and I think the college had that presence before, and I think it's important that we continue to have that presence.
Thanks for your work.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Have you tried an online outreach with members and people at the college where you could talk to them by phone and using link and getting them connected in that way? Because some of them can't leave their desk that often, that kind of thing.
We actually just met with the chapter leadership. We just changed leadership to the chapter. We're looking at ways to do that. We've working on our chapter bylaws, changing some things around so that it's more workable for those who can't get away. And that's really why we want to offer the information sessions, because we can host those on days at the college versus them having to actually go there. And they can be face-to-face with some of us who did attend so that we can tell them what's going on and answer any of the questions that they may have. But we are looking at ways to be able to communicate with each other, have online meetings, or versus face-to-face, because we know that everybody can't come to the meetings, and we knew that was an issue in the past, and that's what we're really working on this time.
You might want to get on the agenda for the Career Service Steering Committee, and you can speak to a big group of them there.
Thank you. Anyone else? Thank you very much.
Good afternoon. Thank you for the opportunity to present Collaborative Lab's 2 strategic budget proposals. Over the past 10 years, SPC's Collaborative Labs has become the trusted strategic partner and go-to place to solve some of our nation's biggest problems and to build strategic plans to help realize some of our greatest opportunities. We continue to be a differentiator for SPC among all educational institutions. We have built this reputation based upon one client success after another. We've served well over 1,000 clients, client engagements, and so we know that to grow any business or institution, you must invest critical resources, and we're at a critical stage in our growth and development for the Collaborative Labs. It's an exciting time for the labs. Just this year, we have invested in a total comprehensive ongoing marketing refresh and brand opportunity. And we are now looking to build a total new brand as well as digital media tools to help us with our business growth. And along with that investment, that brings us to why I'm here today. We have two critical investments that we're asking for. One is in staff, one is in technology. And in terms of our staff request, we're looking to move a current OPS admin position to a full-time administrative oversight, kind of a supervisory role. And this salary would be $45,000. That's our proposal. This member would oversee and execute the business operations of the collaborative labs and would help with high-level types of administrative and accounting duties, as well as oversee some of our contract staff. So that is budget request 1 for staffing. Budget request 2 is a total collaborative labs technology refresh. If you all remember 10 years ago when we opened our doors for business, we introduced Tampa Bay and our own institution to leading edge technology. Do you remember those polling devices and that tablet PC? And you saw it first in the collaborative labs. I can't take credit for inventing the internet, but we can take credit for introducing great leading edge technology. And for us to become that world-class showplace for cutting-edge technology, we must invest in technology. We have worked with David Kramer and his team successfully. We've been able to identify 4 AV providers, and they've presented proposals. And what we're looking to do is probably invest about $650,000 into a total tech refresh. I must tell you, we are 3 years past our life expectancy. And every time we go to fire up our computers and our technology, we kind of hold our breath. And so we need to really invest in critical resources technology-wise. We're looking at spreading the burden over 5 years. Instead of a 1-year $650,000 price tag, we're looking to have a lease agreement with one of the AV providers for $140,000 per year. And this will put us in a position so that we can have continual tech refresh every year. We will never be in a position to be outdated, 3 years past our life expectancy. So these are our 2 strategic budget requests. I thank you for the opportunity to present them. Any questions on either one?
Andrew, one of the kinds of things that are given $140,000 by a lot of technology, so times 5 buys a real lot of.
Well, to be honest, Dr. Law, just to take us from analog to digital, and if we were to stay even in an analog environment, we'd have to invest almost that amount just to maintain our equipment. It's that outdated. So we're actually looking to move to a digital platform. And some of the cutting edge, like the next polling technology, types of innovative technology, would be this large interactive touch screen with dynamic video walls. So you walk into the Tropics lab, and instead of writing with a marker, you would touch screen and write your strengths and successes with a touch screen, as well as being able to actually see a wall-sized version of anything that we are voting on or anything that we're presenting. That's just one demonstration of some of the leading-edge technology. Yeah. All right. Any other questions? Thank you very much for your leadership. Appreciate it.
Good afternoon. I'm Ramona Kirsch, Director of International Programs, and it's my pleasure today to present a proposal for an annual international film series at SPC. One of the building blocks of any strategic internationalization plan is to increase global engagement here at home and in the broader Pinellas County community. It's impossible for all of us to travel the world, so this proposal, in collaboration with Learning Resources, is to bring the world, as it were, to SPC and to encourage all to go global. This proposal aligns with the mission of SPC to enrich the community and promote student success, and it's also in line with the college-wide strategic priority to offer out-of-class opportunities and experiential education. And this particularly is not only for students, but would be for staff, faculty, and the broader Pinellas County community. An annual film series would also enhance SPC's goal of creating global citizens by providing a platform via film to discuss, dialogue, perhaps debate about issues that touch all of our lives, no matter where we live. The International Film Series would add value in the following ways. It would engage students and all participants to dialogue. Each film screening would be prefaced with a talk by either one of our faculty members or community members whose expertise matches the film theme. And then it would end with the dialogue amongst the participants who just watched the movie. So it would enter into that dialogue and engage the community. It would reinforce and augment also our internationalization of the curriculum efforts that so many of our faculty are engaged in. We would have perhaps classes come in viewing, discussing in classes, writing papers, doing additional research on these themes. It would also enrich our community in that, as far as I can tell, there is no theater in Pinellas County dedicated, no public theater dedicated to the screening of foreign films. And we would be filling that gap in a large way. We're in a unique position. We have many different campuses and learning sites. And the goal of this annual series is that each year and each film would be on a different campus. So within a 2-year period, we would have 8 different sites with a film series engaging the community in dialogue. For instance, we could have students watching 2 Million Minutes and the broader community, a wonderful documentary about the way in which China, India, and the United States prepares their students for the global marketplace. Jason Krupp and I have discussed if that film were to be filmed, we can engage the local business community to view that. We could view the Spanish film, All About My Mother, which is a comedy and a tragedy, but it's really looking deeply at the ethical issue of organ donation. So these are just a few examples of this modest proposal. So at that, I will leave it and open up for questions. Okay, thank you very much for this opportunity.
Good afternoon, Dr. Law and members of the Strategic Budget Committee. Thank you for the opportunity to present the requests of the Institute for Strategic Policy Solutions. The Institute is requesting the same percentage of withdrawal from the endowment fund as last year, 3%. But because the corpus has grown considerably thanks to a really robust economy and stock market, that percentage would yield some significantly more money in the amount of $32,000, more than we have asked for last year, and that would go from our Fund 21 budget. We have split that amount into 5 different pots for 5 different projects, 2 of which are new. And if I may take them out of order to start with the largest, number 50, is called TurboVote. TurboVote is an online service that helps students get registered to vote and then to vote. It arranges for the election supervisor of their respective county to send them a mailed absentee ballot, and then it sends them reminders as elections are coming up. That sends them through text messages. We think that by employing social media that our young people, students prefer, it takes the friction out of registration and out of the voting process, and will encourage a good percentage of our students to register and to vote. And that is the first step at getting our students civically engaged, which is what we hope to do. And it's also the first statewide project to come out of the Civics Initiative that we launched last year at a workshop here at SPC at Seminole. And as a result of that initiative, the TurboVote organization have offered a 50% reduction in the upfront registration fee if the entire Florida college system will be part of it. So instead of $1,000 per college, they've offered to make it $500 per college, or $14,000 for the upfront costs. There are additional costs to pay for the postage costs for each student who registers. That is in the amount of $1.17 per student or per registered voter. So the colleges would be asked to cover those costs for the postage, but I have included an additional $1,000 in this request to cover SPC's portion of that, but we also will be attempting to raise sponsorship money for this as well. Already 3 colleges have taken part in Turbo Vote going back to the election year of 2012. Miami-Dade, Tallahassee Community College, and North Florida. And Miami-Dade was funded in 12 by a Knight Foundation grant, and President Padron at Miami-Dade is a very, very strong advocate for this project. Speaking of the Civics Initiative, number 51 on the sequence here is $2,500 requested as seed money to help provide a follow-up to the Civics Initiative workshop for this coming fall. We will, again, offer to find sponsorships to defray some of those costs so that we can offer it for free, as we did last year. But this would give us a base to ensure that we can do this and that we can start planning early. And we ask this so that we can keep up the momentum generated by that workshop. Number 52 in my request is for $2,500 to renew the Great Debate, which Dr. Williams tells me was a very big success in 2008 and was repeated until 2012 when it faded away. Well, we would like to revive it this fall, and the obvious benefits of having students to participate in debate competition would get them, again, civically engaged. It will hone their research skills, their presentation skills, and if we can build the esprit de corps through the competition, that would be a very big factor in fulfilling the college experience strategy. The final 2 requests, number 49 and 53, have to do with developing the Institute's brand, to let more people know who we are and what we do. We've asked for $10,000 to support a marketing campaign, which we would work with marketing MPI to assist us in strategizing on that. And we asked for $2,000 to replace our brochures for the Institute and the Village Square. Both of them are 3 years old, and they were put together at our beginnings when we had no track record. Well, now we have actual events that we can cite and refer to in new brochures. In closing, I would like to emphasize that all of these requests would come from earnings from the Institute's endowment and not from Fund 21 funding. And while the total is relatively small compared to some of the requests heard today, it would be very significant to the Institute. It would allow us to move forward with our statewide mission to sustain the Civics Initiative, and that fulfills a number, and it also fulfills a number of the college's strategic goals and values, and it would help us get our message out to our community and a broader region. Thank you, and I'll answer any questions that you may have.
Good afternoon, Dr. Law, members of the Budget Review Committee. My name is Jeff Kronstadel. I'm the professor in charge of the Public Policy Administration program. Good news is our program is growing beyond our expectations, and with that comes some needs that we need to address here today. I have 4 agenda items before you for consideration. The first one all 4 talk to this. Public Policy Administration really revolves around networking, partnerships, and relationship building. In fact, if you ever were in government, when you leave your desk for another assignment, people fight for your old Rolodex. We build that into our curriculum for our students. They're required to go out and interact within the community. One of the staff members out here this morning said, "We see your students everywhere." That's exactly what we want them to do. Now, with that, though, comes some unforeseen costs, minimal costs that we want to ask for today. The first one is our Public Policy Speaker Leadership Series. We started this a couple years ago, where we bring in world leaders leaders from international, national, and state and local level. We had ex-Governor Charlie Crist came in. We had former Secretary of State Kurt Browning. We had General Carl Horst from the Special Operations Central Command talking international issues. And our last two speakers were two Second District Court of Appeal Justices, Morris Silberman and Nellie Kazam. Our students at those luncheons get a chance to see people and to approach them and ask them profound questions, interact with them, and realize that they too were students at one time, so they can make a connection. We want to continue those luncheons, but because of the success of those luncheons, we're going to be bringing in some leaders from the national government that may cost me a little bit per diem to house them. They're going to give their speeches for free, but I need to get them fed, I need to get them housed, and of course our lunches are filling up because of our student enrollment. So we're asking for minimal assistance on that. Our next item talks to the club initiatives that our students have built. We became the first baccalaureate program in the International City Managers Association's 99-year history. They never had a baccalaureate program before. We attended their conference in Boston last year. Our two students that went up there with their interaction with the people, again, interaction, relationships, team building, were actually offered jobs before they left. It was a wonderful opportunity. Well, this year, there's the 100th anniversary of ICMA. Students are looking to go back. We also are forming the Florida City County Managers Association chapter, which will include them within the 5-county area here in this vicinity, allowing them, again, job opportunities, career choices, and that networking that they need. So we need to support that club, and we don't have any funding to do that. A minimal amount is asked for that as well. Our third item is for faculty and staff to be able to have their job training and their attendance at these conferences. We don't have that built in currently because we are a new program. We're asking for some support for us to be able to go to the Charlotte, it's in Charlotte this year for the ICMA conference. It's their 100th year anniversary. Last year, just to let you know, they had 3,000 attendees at their last conference. So we anticipate this to be even more. We want to be able to attend. We want to be able to support the students because we're required to go as their escorts if they do go. And then our last remaining item for our request is we are in a collaborative partnership with the Project on Accountable Justice, Florida Institute of Government at Florida State University, St. Petersburg College's Strategic Policy Institute, Baylor University, and Tallahassee Community College. And funding is required for us to be able to attend various PAJ training forums and to attend their board meetings, of which I serve on the executive board as the representative for St. Petersburg College. So we have 4 items before you for consideration. Total of all 4 is $12,500. I didn't practice like I did when I was in city government, asking for a lot, hoping that I'd get half. I asked exactly for what we need, so I hope that we have consideration when it's reviewed. That's what I thought. I should have went the old way. Any questions? Thank you very much for your time. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm Jason Krupp, Director of Workforce Services. I'm going to be presenting today on a couple of items that we'd like to use Perkins funding for this next year. Due to some surplus funding in a prior position available now from through salary differential, we have some money available for new projects. We have a new career and technical education coordinator who is paid less than the person who retired. So one of the projects that we would like to undertake this year is a video project for career and technical education. So the purpose of the Perkins grant is to recruit and retain and get our students who are in the career and technical education programs prepared for jobs. There is a plethora of jobs they call in the middle jobs that are not white collar, but there's more than one way to get to a bachelor's degree. And we want to promote these associate in science degrees and certificates as career pathways to get jobs on your way to get a bachelor's degree. So the video project that we'd like to start with, we're actually starting now with some other funding through the Seminole campus. We want to build upon that on the other campuses who have room for growth in their associate degree programs. So we're asking for $10,000. Again, this will be used out of the Perkins Fund, so we're not requesting funds from the college. The other part is the industry certification exams. This year, we have received notice that we're getting up to $1,000 incentive funding for students who attain industry certifications in certain targeted areas. And we are working on a plan to promote as many students getting those credentials as possible. So it's not just about the incentive funding, but those credentials actually help students get the jobs. It's another feather in their cap for finding employment. So we're pursuing that this year, and next year we're anticipating roll forward funds to be used in this regard in an amount of $12,000 in specific areas to purchase those exams. Yes. Yes. Okay.
When you say this year, are you talking about the fiscal year that we're currently sitting in?
This is,
These requests are for current year?
no, sir. These requests are for next year.
Okay. And just this morning on my desk, was the allocation of
$17,000. Right.
Why isn't that funding these requests?
This is for next year, so those are, that's a budget amendment for this current year. And these are in addition, so next year we want to purchase some more exams using the next allocation in the 13-14.
And then how does all this fit inside our efforts to expand and rededicate our career centers? How, is this outside that, inside that? Is this part of that plan?
This is, okay, so the Perkins budget is about 1.5 million, and so 1.4 of that is dedicated annually typically for staff and personnel and fringe. So there's only about $100,000 of funds to work with, and so this is a slice of that 100,000 that we're trying to do something a little different this coming year.
When you say we're trying, that's what I'm trying to get to, Jason. How does it fit into all the other things we're doing? Who's we?
Okay, then, in my office, the Career Pathways and Career and Technical Education Coordinator, trying to promote enrollment in college programs, raise the awareness for recruitment purposes. That's the video project. And the industry certifications is a skill set or a credential that we're trying to help our students attain additional certifications and skills for job placement. So the certification ties into the career services model. The video project ties into increasing enrollment by 3%.
Thank you. Rebecca Ludwig, Dean of the College of Health Sciences. We have one request today. We have created a new AS in Health Sciences program. Next slide, please. This is in an effort to create a career pathway for people currently in PR codes who are not accepted to matriculate to our other programs. It's a very complicated program because we're serving 10 different health disciplines, and within that, a dozen different programs. So it was very challenging. We had about 4,600 students in PR codes working on support and gen eds to matriculate to these limited enrollment programs. We now have, as of today in BI, 1,529 students coded into this program. If they don't matriculate, they'll have the opportunity to stay in this program and graduate with a degree. They also will have the opportunity to go on and take a bachelor's program in health services administration, because within the AS program is embedded a certificate in healthcare services. So we feel like this is a win-win situation for those students who we may have otherwise lost. We also anticipate that the enrollment will increase probably around double before this process is over, because the only other option for these students are to be coded as AA students or non-degree. I think that this program will also be attractive to people who have other limited options, students who need success, who need that outreach, who need learning resources. Clearly, it will be something that anyone could enter into because it is open enrollment. We don't limit it. There are no prerequisites per se. And there is no on-campus requirement because these courses that are specific to the program are all offered online. Next slide, please. Hence, we need somebody who can come in and provide oversight to this program and keep their finger on the pulse. These discipline-specific courses do not have early alert, so we want someone that can interface with those students and provide that oversight and guidance and connect them with learning resources. They also would have responsibility for the adjuncts to recruit them, to train them, and to evaluate them, to create processes that would support student success, and to advise students and faculty, and to work with people outside of the program that are our community of interest and our prospective employers. Also, I think this individual would need to interface with various committees here on campus, and certainly facilitate the program implementation. Since this is new, it's still building the ship as we steer it. Any questions? Thank you.
Good afternoon. Phil Nicotera, Provost of the Health Education Center. I have two requests this afternoon, and the first one is a request to create a physical therapy clinic. There's nothing more important to our students than to go out and get hands-on training and experiences. One of the greatest challenges that we've had over the past couple of years is the difficulty in finding clinical spaces for our students. But we've set a model that we've had for a long time at the Health Education Center with our dental hygiene clinic, which also serves as a clinical experience for our students. And we want to replicate that with physical therapy, since we're seeing that we're finding some more difficulties there with finding clinical spaces. The other thing that we would benefit out of this physical therapy clinic is that the individual that would work in this clinic, the physical therapist, would be able to provide our students with more out-of-classroom support. Now, think about these programs. They're very, very hands-on, a lot of competencies and a lot of skills that students need as they come into these programs for us to graduate them with that skill level. And the third thing that we would benefit out of this would be that this individual, this physical therapist, would be able to come into the lab during class and provide an extra set of hands that we need in the lab as well. But there's more benefit to this than just our students in our program. We would like the clinic to be available for SPC employees and their family. We want to provide physical therapy services for them. We actually have a 3-year plan that in 3 years, we would like to open it up like we do to the dental clinic to the public who has a need for this or underinsured to get physical therapy. As you can see here, we kind of looked at our current costs of physical therapy for this year in our insurance, at an insurance plan, and we spent around $91,000 for that. We feel that by offering that service to our employees and their families, over 2 to 3 years, we probably could take that number down at least by 50%. And we would only, as you can see up here, we would only ask our employees to pay either $10 or $5 copay rather than a $40 copay. Now, we've had some experience with this in physical therapy assisting program many, many years ago, and it kind of went away. The other piece here is that it would be a tremendous experience for our students to do this under the guidance of a faculty member right on our own site. And then secondly to that is it's just great public relations for us to do that. Here is what we need to accomplish this. We need a physical therapist, and the salary, the cost would be about $80,000 per year. So does anyone have any questions about that? No, we already have all of the equipment there, so this is the total cost for that. It's a personnel cost. Just to add something to that, we're already doing physical therapy for the SPC athletes. And then we also, as other individuals in the college community, do come in from time to time to ask us for some aid, so we happily give that to them as well. Okay. I guess we can go on to the next one if we don't have any questions. My second request is for disabilities resources. And what we would like to do here is we currently have a part-time disabilities resource specialist on the HEC campus. She works 25 hours per week, and my request is to make her full-time. You can see here that our numbers of students requesting services has doubled. And you can see that this year we've already surpassed last year, and so we expect that number to be even a little bit higher. One of the things about our disabilities resources at HEC is our programs are complex. Our students have technical standards that we need to make sure that they can have those competency about those technical standards for their programs. And our disability resource person works with them to be able to achieve those. Also, our students, almost all of our students at the end of the road either take a certification exam or a licensing exam. And in many cases, that certification or licensing exam either does not allow the accommodation or has some reduced accommodation to take that test. And one of the differences that our disabilities resource staff do is they work with the student looking at what's down the road to pass that exam to help them get to that point. So that's why we're requesting her to be full-time. Any questions on that one? Great, thank you.
I'm sorry, a tornado got in the way of my plans here. My faculty member who was planning to do this is sequestered in Clearwater because we've got rough weather out there. So think of me as Professor Christy Powers, and this particular request is for a sum of money that we're utilizing to maintain some connections within the legal field. We don't have anything in our budget that would allow us to fund, say, attendance at an ABA conference that would walk us through accreditation issues and things like that. There are some similar kinds of things relationships with the Florida Bar. Our paralegals in Florida are not mandatorily licensed, but they are, there is a voluntary certification. And with that voluntary certification, our students here in the Tampa Bay area have been really, really, really active in the professionalization of the paralegal industry. And part of that, this request would allow us to take some students along with us to some of these sorts of meetings. So that's that particular request. And if you would go to the next request. This is a personnel request. It's very similar to the request that you just heard from Dean Ludwig, in that we are in a situation in our office. We have wonderful, wonderful adjuncts. We just have so many of them. And we're looking for a professional person who would help us deal with adjuncts, who would help us deal with students, and who would help us deal with the larger legal community. In our little office, we have 3 ABA programs, and each one of them is individually accredited. And that means there's a record-keeping process for each one of those separate programs. So this staff person would do that kind of work as well. So we're looking for, really, it sounds like a good paralegal to come and work in our office and coordinate our interactions with the legal community, and to provide some modeling and student support as well. So that's the sum and substance of it. Any questions?
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Good afternoon. Pat Renard, representing Enrollment Services this afternoon. In 2011, March of 2011 to be exact, we, the college, created a cyber advising center, and we began offering academic advising to students remotely via email and by phone. And it's one of those, if you build it, they will come models. The demand for that service has been astronomical, and we at times have a difficult time keeping up with the demands with our current staffing. And today I'm seeking an investment in additional cyber advisors so that we can provide better and more timely and more robust online advising services to all of our students. Many of our students who take online courses live in our community, and the same is true with cyber advising. Most of the students who take advantage of that actually also take courses in our classrooms. There were 10 budget request priorities established at the December Board of Trustees workshop, and my request is going to address 3 of those 10. The first is the 3% enrollment growth. I'm seeking a full-time student support advisor whose sole responsibility will be to work with applicants from the point of application to the point of getting them enrolled in classes. In 2013, from January to August, of all of the applications that came in, only 41% of those applicants actually ended up taking classes with us in the fall term. And this position would focus on students, predominantly those taking online courses, but any student who's applied and trying to work that pipeline. The second deals with the college experience. And the advisors in the Cyber Center right now provide most of the same services that a student on campus can avail themselves to. There are a few exceptions, and one of those is career services. We are currently not coding students red, yellow, or green, and working, trying to get those students who are red and yellow to the green status, and we're not really addressing students with Focus 2. We just simply don't have the staff to do that right now. So I'm seeking a full-time academic advisor to assist students remotely, predominantly, again, online students, but again, any student that wants online services in the career service realm. The third budget priority that I want to talk about as far as my request is concerned is the online revitalization project. In the final report from the Student Services Subcommittee of the Online Revitalization team, one of the conclusions that they presented in their report reads as follows, and I quote, "Services for online students should mirror services available to on-campus students, with the only difference being the manner in which an online student is able to receive these services from a distance. Telling a student that they must come to campus to get their student services needs met is unacceptable." And to that end, I'm requesting 2 additional cyber advisors to assist with the general academic advising. The same subcommittee of that online revitalization team listed as a goal for fall of 2014. And again, I quote, "A needs assessment to determine the number of advisors needed to adequately respond to student inquiries in a timely manner and to determine what tools are needed to do so." In 2013, the 7.5 cyber advisors that we currently have serviced 31,000 students. 2 of those 7.5 personnel specialize in financial aid. The other 5 specialize in admissions, registration, and academic advising related issues. Roughly 2/3 of our students receive financial aid. So I'm also requesting 2 additional cyber advisors that will focus on financial aid. And that will allow us to do something that we've not done in the past, and that is outbound phone call campaigns to various populations of students, such as students who are enrolled, students who are eligible to receive financial aid who are not enrolled, loan borrowers who are at risk of going into default, students who are at or near their loan borrowing limits, and providing advising to students, bright future students, when they withdraw from a course, they have to pay that money back. So we could reach out to those students, provide a personal touch that we're currently not doing to try to reduce the accounts receivable. I thank you for your support and hopefully your investment in this much-needed area of student services. And I'll add that this presentation was presented to the provost, and I did get support from the Provost Council. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm Anna Marie Root. I'm with Professional Development and Human Resources. And in direct support of our strategic priority and value of employee professional development, I'm here to request some additional budget in the amount of $28,000 to be spread across 4 initiatives that we would like to continue to support, expand, and sustain. That first initiative is Spring Training Day. As many of you may already know, we have Spring Training Day scheduled for tomorrow, March 7th, at our Seminole campus, and we're already looking forward to planning and being able to bring to our employees another wonderful event next year. So in order to do that, we will definitely need the funds provided for the event each year, and it is something currently that does not exist in our budget. The second initiative is All College Day. This past All College Day, we were able to invite all of our budgeted OPS and adjunct employees to participate in All College Day. And of course, as our family grows and we're able to come together for this wonderful event, so does the costs that are involved. So we're looking for some additional funds to be able to sustain All College Day, where we continue to include all of our employees. The next initiative really focuses on the onboarding process. We're trying to focus and bring to the college a more robust new employee experience. So the funds that we're requesting are not just for materials and logistics, but to be able to have a hosted, paperless onboarding system using industry standard technology for the new hire process. So basically, this system would be an intuitive employee portal that includes many benefits to the employee. It would bring online reminders with it, checklists, and it would make all new hire forms available online that are integrated with federal compliance standards. So really one of the very, very nice benefits of using software such as this would be not just to enhance data integrity, but to be able to decrease the time to fill those positions. My final area of focus is really on subject matter experts. We have been very successful in recent months really inviting our own internal subject matter experts to serve as training facilitators. It's been very welcomed by our college community. It has really helped us to sustain our training momentum, to expand our training capacity, and to deliver training in a more consistent manner across the college. So by being able to receive additional funds in this area, we would be able to develop a true internal core of SPC certified subject matter experts. And the funds used in this area would cover honoraria and materials. So I thank you very much for the opportunity to speak with you this afternoon, and I welcome any questions that you may have about this request.
I need you to talk more about the onboarding, because that was a very limited view of, that would not comport with my feeling as to what our needs are. So talk a little bit about what you see happening here, okay?
Onboarding really being a way to follow the employee through their entire life cycle here at the college, from the time that they start till the time that they become veteran employees, and then of course till the end of possible retirement or a change. But really the onboarding piece, Dr. Law, we're looking at not just a robust training program that's involved, but being able to incorporate technology into that process so that the employee doesn't have to make multiple trips to the college, has more of a smooth process when they're going through their fingerprinting and all of the forms that they have to fill to be able to come on board and become a new employee. It would really smooth out that process, make it electronic, and minimize frustration that employees may feel with, those types of events that currently are our practice.
I would have thought that there's a big picture here. You don't have responsibility for all of it, but I would have thought that your part would have to do with the acculturation of the employee.
Yes, absolutely.
Rather than electronic forms, lookup, and better fingerprinting and all that nonsense. I think our need is in a different area.
Right, and I think from the HR perspective, we're kind of looking at the whole process and at the whole employee, and that those little bits and pieces, with the acculturation, of course, being the predominant focus, it really brings the employee to the table ready to go when some of those little hiccups are minimized. So I think we were looking at that big picture and feeling that software piece would help with that big picture positive employee experience.
I'll stop there.
Thank you. Good afternoon. My name is Diana Sabino, Executive Director of Marketing and Public Information. I have two requests for you this afternoon. The first is the budget request. This proposal is to greatly expand the marketing capabilities for SPC beyond traditional and into the digital. With these additional dollars, we'll be able to do TV, which will impact our online generation, as well as digital display, paid search, and niche direct mail. So what you see here in the top is the current, and below is the additional requested amount. And for every dollar that has been proposed, there's also projected inquiry and application volume, as well as conversions that should be associated with each source, so that we can have a plan to judge ourselves performance-wise against. And
Go back there. Was that really $1 million request?
yes, sir, we're looking for $973,000 to be able to do paid search, TV, display, and niche direct mail. Yeah, we're currently at $668,000. This would put us in line with other institutions as well, at the same budget level as Valencia, and give us a greater mix and to go into the digital arena. It's very expensive for marketing, especially in this county. And with, there we go. We cannot launch all of the great initiatives alone. However, many of the messages that we use to promote the college today are very much in line with what other schools already say. So we would need to be consistent and unified with our customer experience for our prospects and with our current students, and come up with a unique value proposition that would allow us to stand out among the competition. We are beginning to work with the program deans to identify what the sell points are for each individual program, rather than promoting catalog language, and we're working hard to develop a campaign to promote our success initiative out to the external audience, but this cannot be done in a vacuum. At Publix, shopping is a pleasure. You can pretty much guarantee that you'll always be asked if you found everything okay when you're exiting, and what do we want to be known for? So, that type of messaging will allow us to transcend into these other channels and position SPC to generate some of the volume that we need for our 3% enrollment growth. Are there any questions? Okay. And the second presentation is for 3 community and outreach specialists. All of us are able to impact outreach and community relations, whether through content generation online, working with potential partners and business leaders, or participating in speaking engagements as experts in our field of study, just to name a few. We are looking for assistance from the many experts we have on the SPC team, as we cannot do it alone. 95% of our applications are submitted online. We have a great opportunity to restructure recruitment and focus on the conversion of the large volume of inquiries into applications. However, we understand that recruiters play a great role in obtaining interest while out in the community. So on the presentation, you'll see the proposal will be to acquire 3 outreach specialists to handle the North, Mid, and South Pinellas regions, with specified planned referral goals that they each meet daily. The goals are a way for us to track performance, align expectations, and determine the effectiveness of the outreach specialist role. With these dollars, a $30,000 salary for each specialist, we project to receive a total of 1,620 inquiries per year at a cost of $18.50 per inquiry. The marketing team will work to support the outreach specialists with toolkits, as well as with faculty and staff with toolkits, and those toolkits are underway, and we hope to roll out one for each program in the upcoming year. Are there any questions? Okay, thank you very much.
Still well ahead of schedule.
Good afternoon. I'm Kara Schrader-Smith, your Risk Management Coordinator. I'm here to ask for an increase in student insurance. Some of you may be aware of, some of you may not. One of the budgets that I manage is the insurance budget, and it is pretty diverse in that it covers all of the insurance that the college purchases, with the exception of the employee benefits. Over the last few years, the demand for student professional liability and the student accident insurance, which covers our students for all of their hands-on activities that are deemed to be part of their curriculum, has been on the incline. I think you would agree that this is a good problem to have. However, the budget for this particular line item has not been increased since the fiscal year 2009-2010 year. We have been able to absorb these extra costs. However, in the current budget year, the one that we are currently in, these extra costs have started impacting my other insurance line items. And as we prepare for the next budget cycle, I'd like your consideration for increasing that particular line item so that as our student population continues to increase, that the budget can match those demands. Any questions?
Would you give me an idea of the magnitude? I see a request for $43,000. Is that 100%, 50%, 2%, 1%? What do we think we're currently spending, and what does that represent?
It's actually almost an exact dollar amount since the 2009-2010 budget year to what's being spent as of today.
So is that a 100% increase in that budget? Is that what you're asking for?
It's actually more than doubled.
If you're looking at the total budget is 1.9 million. We've already spent 1.82 year to date. So I think that's what you're talking about, is some of the increases in the other areas.
Well, I was just speaking specifically to that one line item, where it used to be back in 2009-2010 around $29,000. It's now over $80,000.
Okay, that's what I was trying to get to.
In those costs, right?
Right.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you.
Jonathan, you want to go ahead and go?
I have two presentations today, two proposals. My name is John Steele, Dean of Humanities and Fine Arts. Thank you for the opportunity. For Digital Arts AS degree program at Seminole Campus, we request an increase of our 25-hour OPS instructional assistant position to budgeted full-time status. The reasons: Digital Arts unduplicated enrollment has increased from 147 in the fall of 2009 to 286 in the spring, in this current spring. That's a 94.5% growth over these 5 years. We've experienced this need for this full-time position for at least the last 2 years, and increases in enrollment and the resulting activity with students in the labs raises the need to a critical status. The recent loss of a key digital arts instructor, Jeremy, to a promotion at MPI, we're proud of him for doing that, but it increases the need for digital arts because he was a key person there. A full-time position would allow additional flexibility in teaching courses needing coverage as supplemental teaching instead of as adjunct. The addition in addition to instructional assistance to students and faculty, this position serves multiple needs of camera equipment and checkout, lab support, software support, video production, studio operation, and digitorium support, about which Jim Oliver spoke earlier. This position will provide crucial help needed for digital arts, especially now as we continue to build the Bachelor of Science program that will involve digital arts in a crucial way. This proposal is essential for student success, out-of-class support, improving our completion and graduation rates, and technology support for faculty. Please give it your support. The second proposal is for photographic technology AS degree program. We request a budgeted half-time position to replace our current 25-hour OPS instructional assistant position. Reasons. Number one, this will provide a much more stable and continuous support for the students in the program. Number two, the support is crucial for growth, student success, out-of-class support, and improving graduation rates. Number three, it will provide enhanced assistance to faculty, management of student lab assistants, facilitating community outreach and internship placement. Number four, budgeted part-time position with health benefits makes it possible for the person to teach 2 courses as an adjunct faculty member, as well as give a full 20 hours of instructional support. It will provide much-needed assistance with planning for the Bachelor of Science degree there as well. Compared to the benefits, the budget impact is minimal, the primary cost being the benefit package for budgeted part-time. Please support this proposal. It's so crucial for student success and program continuity. Are there any questions? Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm Stan Vitito, Provost of the Clearwater campus. I have 2 requests this afternoon on behalf of the campus. The first is for an additional technology support specialist on our campus. I've included some tables here to enable us to analyze the need. Currently, the Clearwater campus has a student enrollment of 9,205 students, making it the largest campus that we have. It's grown by 1.5% from this time last year. If we look at the ratio of students to technicians, on the Clearwater campus, we have more than 3,000 students per technician. The next closest campus is Seminole with 1,800. If we add a 4th person on the Clearwater campus, our ratio will drop to 2,300 students per technician, still the highest in the college. Another way to analyze that problem is to look at the number of units that they're responsible for. Currently, each person on our campus is responsible for 530 units per technician. The closest campus to that would be the St. Pete Gibbs campus with 322 units per technician. If we add an additional technician on the Clearwater campus, we will still have the highest ratio of units per technician at 398 units per TSS. You may wonder how we ended up in this situation, and it's really because of the great team that we have. Many of you know Larry Burton, Art Thompson, Tom Van Ostrom was part of our team. He's been replaced by Gina Alderman, but they've just done such a great job that along with some very talented student help, we were able to get by. But in the last year, we've noticed that we're starting to slip behind. The load is just too much. So I hope that you'll consider this request on behalf of our students and staff on the Clearwater campus. The second request that I have, I have a yes. question. Stan, help me understand what we're looking at here, okay? What would, if it's an apples to apples, how do we end up with EPI having 10 positions for 1,000, whatever we're measuring? Well, that's the student enrollment, and I'm just comparing it with the number of people who have that job title, technology support specialist. I'm imagining that at EPI they may be used in different roles than they are on the other campuses, but those are the numbers. Yeah, I'm not sure how that looks a bit skewed at EPI, yes. Thank you. The second request I have is for funds to remodel the old hard drive in the Language Arts building on the Clearwater campus to make it into the program office for our communications department. The communications department is housed in a very small room. Originally, when the building was built, we had program directors at that time, as you may recall, and the office housed a program director and a staff assistant and perhaps a student assistant. Currently, we have the dean of the communications department, the department chair, 2 staff assistants, and literally no room for any student assistants. At the time the building was built, the room was probably pretty adequate. We have simply outgrown it. The communications department serves almost 2,700 students on the Clearwater campus, plus has the responsibility college-wide for as many sections as any other general education program. The space vacated by the hard drive will give them a nice size office space along with a conference room, a little waiting area for students, and an area for student assistants. We've drawn up the plans for that. We've worked with the architect, spent about $10,000 getting some construction plans for that. The estimate is for $125,000 to make a very suitable office for the staff. Any questions? Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm Paul Wilborn from the Palladium Theater. Thanks for letting us have a little time today. We've just got 2 items. The first is regarding our budget, and we have had, just wanted to point out, we've had incredible growth in the last 5 years. Our revenues were $585,000 in 2009 and 10, and we project revenues of $1,128,625 for the upcoming year. We've actually reduced our payroll during that time thanks to a reorganization that was approved last year. And what we are finding is there's pressure through all of this new business on our box office. Dave Kramer has been nice enough to, they're going to be installing a phone system in our box office so we can handle the volume of calls that have been swamping us recently. And we are asking for $17,029 in additional box office OPS time. And that's that item. If there are any questions, be happy to answer them. I've asked Damon Doherty to join me, and John Steele is here as well on this next request. And this is one we really are just sort of putting on the record. These are issues that have been around for a while, but we've recently had a safety and fire inspection of our main theater, and it ties into our technology. I'm going to let Damon just talk briefly about it. Damon Doherty, our operations manager.
Hello, thank you for the opportunity. The Palladium Theater affords our St. Petersburg College students an extraordinary opportunity to work alongside internationally touring professionals as well as local artists. In 2012 alone, we had 54 student interns contribute over 3,900 hours to Palladium events. And in anticipation of the 4-year degree in Arts and Entertainment Technology, expected to launch in fall 2015, the Palladium seeks funding to prepare our theater systems, specifically the curtains, rigging, and electrics for the lighting, to industry standard, safe, reliable, and professional systems that both teach well and are able to accommodate and embrace emerging technologies. Unfortunately, the existing curtains, riggings, and electrical systems dedicated to the theatrical lighting have been deemed unsafe, and there's an attached report for the details of that. So we're just seeking the funding to prepare and move forward. Any questions?
And Dr. Steele is here to agree that we will actually be helping our students work in a very professional manner as we go forward with Mira. Any questions on that one? As I say, Jim Wechter is involved in this. We're really just putting this on the record because it has come through as a major safety issue. We're not necessarily, this could be a multi-year process, but we just wanted to put that on the record this time. Any questions? Thanks very much.
I would just share that the
the bachelor's program includes a component of theatrical technology that's going to be crucial to the collaborative projects that are an essential part of that program, and it will include working with rigging that's, as they said, out of date. So that's a real need that we'll be considering as that program goes forward.
Thanks much.
Good afternoon. First of all, thank you for this opportunity. And I'm Diana Wright, the Director of Facility Services. And in 2012, the college budgeted about $600,000 for deferred maintenance for college-wide roofs and parking lots. Since that time, a prescribed schedule has been followed and we use those funds for those purposes. In the last year, we've completed several projects college-wide at the Clearwater, St. Pete Gibbs, Tarpon campus, with a couple of additional projects being done actually next week during the spring break while no one's on campus. As a follow-up, the facilities department is currently working on creating a college-wide facility needs assessment for 100 of mechanical systems. This assessment will enable us to strategically prioritize system replacement and major equipment upgrades based on system need and cost. While the plan is being finalized, the following capital maintenance items are in need of immediate attention, and so we've listed it on this strategic list. And some of them include, for example, an aerial lift for a fire engine, and that's just for refurbishment. The repair of a west wall and parapet for the HEC campus, cooling tower fill replacement, boiler retube, brand new HVAC systems for the Agora building at the Tarpon Springs campus, various energy projects college-wide. We still have the opportunity of doing that, and in previous years, we were given a $50,000 budget for energy projects college-wide. Scanners, our current inventory scanners are out of date, and they need to be upgraded in order for us to be able to continue doing the job that we do so well. Any questions?
Jim and I have talked a little bit. The 600,000 is as I understand, is primarily committed to the roof.
Correct. What's going to happen is that in the next 2 years, for example, this roof is our worst roof college-wide, and we have approximated that it's going to cost $1.2 million to replace. So what we're planning on doing is for the next 2 years, we're going to be allocating that money and putting that aside so that we have enough funds to replace this whole entire roof. And then in the meantime, we won't have enough of the budgetary needs to fulfill everything else that's required on our list. Anything else? Thank you.
Good afternoon. Thanks for having me, Dr. Law. Growth. That is and will continue to be the theme of the Veteran Services Department. Our numbers support this growth. In the last 4 years, the Veteran Service Department has experienced a 164% increase in student numbers. We project that by the end of this year, that will be 181%. Our visits also support this growth. These are the visits at our centers, with the exception of one anomaly, which was in the year 2011. This was when the VA opened their answer websites and took some of the load off. but as you can see, we're on a steady increase upward again of student and recruiting visits. Our requests, I don't know where that came from. Our requests are supported by this success and growth. These personnel requests are needed to accomplish centralized processing, expansion to the downtown, midtown, all-state, and health education center campuses, and to provide administrative assistance. This will give you an idea of the requests added in with what we already have. And I'd like to take this final moment just to use a standard military terminology to explain what's going on. This is where we started. This is where we are now. And this is where we plan to be. And we will continue that growth. Thank you. Any questions?
What's the color scheme here, Jeff? The yellow is, which
Yellow
is
are the
which?
requests.
That's the request?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, Lord.
Good afternoon. I'm Nick Manus from Ethics. Probably most of you know that the college publishes its own ethics textbook, and right now I think we have 7 outside adoptions, meaning 7 colleges and universities use our book. Last year we picked up Globe University up from the Pacific Northwest, and they bought 1,000 books from us, which all of our revenues, all of our sales provide a good amount of revenue to the college. But we have had requests both in-house and from some of our adopters as well as our publisher that we produce some supplemental material to go with the textbook to make it a better experience for teachers and students. So our request falls under the heading of both staff development and the online revitalization, because all of these resources will be housed online. That we have a little bit of money, I think it's about $5,000, to develop some of these supplemental materials that will hopefully result in increased student success here at the college, as well as other outside adoptions from schools and colleges across the country. Any questions?
Nick, doesn't the money, Doug, don't we have that in its own fund, or, I'm sorry, I thought this thing was really well funded. Is that, am I missing something?
No, there's, in the auxiliary budget, there is a separate account that tracks the ethics revenue. I think you just want to spend more of that.
Yes. Mm-hmm. But we're not asking that the money come out from the general fund of the college, but from the revenues of the textbook.
Okay.
Thank you.
I'm certain that I'm the person you've all dreaded seeing today, the last one to go. My name is Dave Monroe. I'm also from the Ethics Department, and pursuant to Professor Manus's request, I'd like to make a specific and detailed request for new chapter video materials in support of our Ethics Applied 7.0 textbook. We have chapter videos that exist already that we've used for several years in our online courses. Unfortunately, they align with an antecedent edition of the book, specifically 4.0, so they're now 3 editions out of date. The content of the textbook has changed significantly. The structure of the textbook has changed significantly, and the production quality of the videos has changed significantly since the last set of videos were produced. We'd like to request about $14,000 for the professional production of new chapter videos, 32 in all, to support the new content. We think that this will certainly, well, it certainly can't hurt our success rates in online classes. At present, the completion rate in an online ethics course is about 60%, which is significantly lower than our success rates in face-to-face and blended modalities. And we think that the chapter videos will help support learning in that context. They'll have built-in PowerPoints and other sorts of learning materials to help online students grasp the content. And this is in addition to the supplemental materials that Professor Manus requested. Our hope is that we can drive the success rate of our students in online classes up. And a very commonly requested bit of materials for outside adoptions, and in almost every case, another school that's considering adopting our textbook is chapter videos and supplemental materials. So primarily our focus is raising our success rate in online classes, but secondarily it also helps bring more revenue into the institution. This request also asks for funds from the Applied Ethics textbook revenue account, and our timeline for production would be throughout the end of summer of this year and fall, so that we'll have the videos produced and ready to roll with the rollout of D2L. Does anyone have any questions about that? Yes, ma'am.
Are you proposing that these videos would be prepared in-house?
Yes. I've already been in touch with the IDT videographer, Steve McFadden. I've already talked with Disability Resources about captioning, and they're ready to go. So it's a matter of getting the funds and being able to put it together. Thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it.
Good afternoon. The College of Computer and Information Technology is in the last phase of getting everything prepared for the Smart Choice program. We're going to start it off this summer with a summer camp with the high school students. So the last part of it is going on to course development. I have to finish these courses. We have to finish them up. We've promised students that we're making these changes, and many of the changes are coming from the IT gap analysis report, too, that was presented to the Tampa Bay area. We have a tremendous growth in the program. We have 74 new students that are coming in the door, and on top of that, we've had 80 students that have jumped over from other subplans into the new subplans that we're presenting. Did you put the spreadsheet up at all? I'm not familiar with this. I just wanted to show everyone the courses and what we're... Yes, these are all the courses that we're going to be adding to the model, to the subplans of the Technology Development and Management degree. We have two new major subplans, the Software Development and the Data Analytics. So those are the courses that I'm going to be needing for a value of $29,782 and change. So that's what I'm asking for the first. I'm sorry.
What exactly does all that represent?
Okay. Last year, I did half of the course development. Yes. We're calling the Smart 10K program the Smart Choice program now. So last year, I did half of the course development. And then I had to have a change in my actual core for the technology development based on state mandates. So we had to make a couple of changes. So that has included a couple of extra courses here. So this is the final phase.
Okay.
I need to complete these courses, then I will have all the subplans in place.
Thank you.
Does that answer your question,
Yes,
sir?
yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. Okay, the other thing that I have that I'm asking for your consideration is that because our programs are growing, we have a new office now up in the ethics and social science buildings up in Clearwater. And we also have the Smart Choice program summer camps that are beginning down at St. Petersburg Gibbs. I would ask that I could actually have two administrative what they're called, administrative service specialists. I would be willing, right now, I have OPS dollars for 29 hours for the one that I'm using in Clearwater, and I also have a part-time budgeted position at Gibbs. And so I'm thinking that I could actually take those dollars and help offset the price of what it's going to cost. So I'm looking at $28,558, and that is not counting any of the benefits that would have for those two positions. The other thing to say about the Clearwater position is that we share an office with the ethics department. And ethics has 4 faculty in that area, as well as our CCIT faculty. And they really could use some support as well. So we're looking at this position actually supporting both departments. I talked to Dean Demers about this yesterday. So I thought it might be a good idea if we put something like that in place to support that whole floor. We seem like we're the information capital of the world there. So that's what we're asking. And then the final thing that I'm asking for your consideration is the instrument that we use as the test out option for our general education. It's really a graduate requirement of the college. Our basic information and literacy course is outdated and it needs to be upgraded. And as we were going through looking at it, it became very clear to us that this is really a SACS violation because we really need a valid, reliable instrument for students to be taking this test. I have worked with a vendor that is willing to come in and, can you put that one up for me so that people can see this, Doug? Yeah, it's the one for the, yeah. Pearson would actually give us the opt-out exam. It'll satisfy the requirement. They'll provide the test-out exam. We've looked at these schools now are using this particular test, which I thought was quite interesting when I saw the University of South Florida, because that gives us our SACS requirement. And then if you could come down a little bit on this or up, scroll a little bit. The cost to the vendor is $20 a test. We currently charge the students $20 a test. So we could have an option of charging a little more if we needed to offset any administrative costs. Pearson would only need 30 days, and the test would be developed along with Chrissy Risberg, who is the course owner for that course. And they recommend, Pearson would recommend that we purchased tests, and then we would actually charge the student as they come in to take give them a voucher. So in the last 3 years, we have had 4,368 students that have taken this opt-out exam. Of that, 3,927 have passed the exam. We'd like to recommend then that we actually purchase 2,000 opt-out exams from the vendor and then charge the students based on whatever fee we come up with as an institution. And those are my 3 items for your consideration.
What is the SACS requirement that this meets?
It's not a valid instrument. The test itself is not. It's a homegrown piece of paper that I put out there a long time ago. It's not really something that's being looked at as a reliable test instrument. That's what we're concerned about.
I missed.
The issue, Dr. Law, is that we're actually giving the student credit for passing the test. We're actually giving them a credit hour, and we don't have a valid instrument that we're using to make that determination of awarding that credit.
And what is it, does SACS have a requirement that the student document some sort of technological 1 credit, or I'm trying to
it's
see
not.
what that is.
It's not that
okay?
precise, but their preference in terms of us awarding credit is either we have a class that's taught by a credentialed faculty member, or that we have some type of standardized valid instrument that we're using in order to certify their knowledge of that particular competence.
Let me engage. I'll try one more time here. I'm not making myself clear. Some of this is 25 years old. Right? We started, computers here, we got to teach it, we got to assess it, we got to do it. Students need this, students are in my class, they can't do it, so we'll have a test, we'll do this. Students come to us, we'll opt them out, we'll do it. I mean, I think we started this thing way back when. We don't have a requirement for students to tell them how to use smartphones, do they?
Correct.
I mean, do we have a one-credit course in smartphones, and students have to demonstrate their
Right.
proficiency?
There's no SACS
to do
requirement that we have any course content related to that component.
So why don't we revisit whether or not we even need this?
We could, other institutions do not have that as a gen ed requirement. They
that's the
embed it
case.
within their gen ed coursework.
Okay. It may be, there may be other ways to provide more value added to students rather than a better test for something. I hesitate to ask what we're assessing. Okay. I hesitate to ask, but I'll do it offline, okay? I think we ought to just revisit the whole thing. I mean, before I write a check to Pearson, I need a lot of convincing. Let's see what need it's really meeting, and if that need is still current. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Why don't you talk a little bit about that, Doug?
Let me take this one, it's not on the list there, but, every year as part of the budget planning process.
Doug, you're going to have to speak in the mic, or else the police will come get you.
Every year I've put up as an item for consideration in the budget what the cost of a pay increase is, so that we're all aware of what the impact. On this chart, we've got each category, instructional, administrative, career, so on, and what the cost of a 1%, 2%, and 3% pay increase would be. And so you can see we're over $1 million. I think a few years ago we were, seemed like I recall.
700, 800?
Yeah, 700,000, 800,000. So it's grown considerably. And that includes benefits. But we always lay that on the table, just when we're looking at the big picture as we go through it, that those are the numbers we're looking at when we're talking about what we need to fund a pay increase, which of course is always a priority if we can do it. Okay? Questions?
Everybody, any outliers, anyone join? Okay. I'm somewhat underwhelmed. We seem to have lost our focus here. Look around, half the group isn't here. This is a command performance. If you're a budget manager, I expect you to hear everybody else's budget presentation. So I'm disappointed on that regard. At the end of the day, I can't tell you how we're going to get a 3% enrollment increase out of any of this. Let's go back to basic principles. If you want my attention, I have to understand how the next dollar helps students, not how it helps the office, not how it helps those kinds of things. So I suspect it's all in there, but I can't, as I finish the day, I can't string it together in a way that I see the throughput. That I see a lot of 29-hour positions going to 40-hour positions. Toward what end? I don't doubt that everybody's working hard and all of that. So there's a certain disconnect. It may be that we're sending the wrong signal from the highest levels, that what we want is more of this. I mean, the things, if you ask me what are on the list of things that I think need to get taken care of, there's a huge training and development issue where the classified staff has a whole initiative in front of them to grow that. If those words were uttered today, I didn't hear them. The spectacular good work that we've experienced in the college experience, someone with a vision to say, this is how we scale this is how we get to the next level in this is how we go from 2,000 students a semester to 3,000, 4,000, 8,000, 10,000, 12,000. I didn't hear that. I heard different things that seem to me to be much more tactical than strategic. You know, our whole approach toward student engagement, I'm thinking through the presentations, where were the new ideas, the new initiatives, the outreach to the whole engaged learning and student engagement pieces. So I think there's some work to do. I mean, we got 100 requests for who knows how many millions of dollars, and you know, I think everyone appeared today in good faith, but I don't have a sense as I've finished the day as to what next. What do we want to do? I don't know that I'm ready to tell the board, here's how we're following through on your guidance to us earlier in the year. Here's the difference that it's going to make. Listen, I think everybody needs to take a deep breath here, okay? Because if we lose airspeed here, it may be tough to regroup the up curve. The college experience is still the #1 game plan. Growing it, expanding it, enhancing it, marketing it, doing everything. That's our stock and trade. We've got the online revitalization. That is getting close toward autopilot. I didn't hear I assume it's off the, you know, we funded that project now. It's ready to go. It's good to go. I didn't see a lot of metrics today. If we do this, we'll get more of this. We'll do this, we'll do this. If we do this, we'll do this. We're back to some of the, they've got 3, I need 3 kinds of things. You get, please, it's not directed at anyone individual. That gets no traction with me at all. I understand those are the available metrics. It gets no traction with me at all. Telling me what it means to the students gets all of my attention for traction. But the other guys have some, so I want one. It doesn't cut it for me. So and then the last piece is Doug's piece. Doug does it for me. We put up the marker up there. But I don't know how I'm going to get pay raises for staff. But that's my responsibility, so I've got to figure that out. But $1 million for every % is more than rounding error. And I don't want the people who make $30,000 and $40,000 and $50,000 to be working for health care. Current salary plus health care. You know, their life is very different around the kitchen table than current salary plus health care. And I owe it to them to try to get us to a different thing. So we've got to grow the enrollment, got to improve the retention, we've got to find alternate source of fundings, we've got to get, but the entrepreneurial parts have to be more entrepreneurial, the outreach parts have to be more outreach, we have to build on our success and move it forward. And I need to revisit the whole purpose of doing this. If half the people are mailing it in, that doesn't meet my needs even a little bit. So those of you who stuck it out, you have my great thanks. I'll follow up with each of the vice presidents, and we'll try to get a game plan that builds on the work that was done. No, it's not, nobody tried to not meet the needs, but somehow I've got to get it into a different framework for me to make decisions on what we do next. So happy to follow up if anyone has any individual concerns, and I do have a handful of questions for some individuals based on what you're doing. I think some of it is, if it's repackaged, it might look a little different and be very helpful to us. Okay, thank you.